So it really wasn't a far drive.
Okay. How many kids you got?
I've got a set of twins.
Oh, shit. Boys or girls?
2 boys, Teddy and Tommy.
Damn.
Yep, they're 3 now, so.
That's cute. My little sister just had twins, I guess a year or 2 ago.
It's a fun life.
They go
It's
quick,
a life
dude.
with no sleep, but it's a fun life.
3 fucking nephews, and that's enough for me. You pass me that lighter?
They came here and visited.
Just finish this thing off.
Not last Christmas, but the Christmas before the dark times.
Yeah, you're good.
But it's just CDB, don't worry.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
they came and visited, and watching my sister and her husband juggle these children, like they're just screaming and crying, silent and chill, screaming and crying, being adorable. Just like
I love that my nephews are all just there's one good one and the other 2. It's like I can choose which side of the force I want to go to. Yeah.
No, it's adorable with Teddy and Tommy because they're identical twins, but their personalities are like polar opposite, like complementary.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Like Tommy is this like super adorable, like I love unicorns and rainbows, and I'm just the sweetest little thing. Hi, Mama. And then Teddy is like, I'm going to fuck your shit up.
Dude, hell yeah. That's awesome.
And they're both adorable. And they're both really sweet, don't get me wrong. And they're in public, they're both very polite, usually.
But super cool, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's siblings, though, too, the same way.
Yeah.
That's, I forgot who I was watching, but it was somebody was making a point about...
They are actually really good, surprisingly.
Oh, I love those things, dude.
I haven't had this.
But yeah, somebody was making a point about how, like... Well, the best studies are twin studies because all twins are exactly the same. It's like, you've never met a twin, have you?
You've never met a twin, and you've sure as hell never been the parent of a twin. But the thing, too, about them is that they're both freakishly smart.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other day in the car, I had to settle a dispute over whether or not Pluto's a planet.
But you 3-year-old kids, dude.
Yeah. Because
goddamn.
So they love Little Einsteins, right?
Okay.
And on Little Einsteins went out of production before Pluto was declared a dwarf planet. Not really a planet.
So if it's on Little Einsteins, then it must be true.
Right. That was Tommy's thinking. Teddy, they've got this big planet puzzle that's newer that doesn't have Pluto.
Shit.
But it's not on the puzzle, so that must be true.
So it's like, what do you believe?
Yeah. No. So I had to settle the dispute and try to explain to these 3-year-olds, look. Little Einsteins is a lot older, and these people called NASA declassified Pluto as a
NASA
planet.
are the actual space experts, and this is what they say.
Crack me up before the kids would just be like, well, why are we trusting NASA? You gotta go into all of that.
It will
give
come.
it time. Yeah,
it will come,
give
I'm
it
sure.
time.
That's so funny. No, yeah, and then one of them turns out to be flat Earth, the other turns out to be a fucking...
No. There will be no flat earthing in my family.
Yeah.
Cheers to that, man.
I'm totally...
Do you want to finish that?
I would fully encourage and support and adore them, whatever life choice they decide to make, except becoming a flat earther or a QAnon
insane person. That's good. So I think we're gonna have a lot of common ground in this conversation.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Should be good. We haven't done a podcast in a couple of weeks because of working class music.
Yeah, we've been working so hard on the other things that this has kind of been on the back burner, man. But that's kind of a good place to be in. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys have had stuff to work on.
I mean, I gotta do something.
On my part, I've been working on trying to get the early work done for Great Wide to go out and tour for the first time.
Jeez.
So, now that things are beginning to open back up, I'm trying to hit the ground running with it,
Call it the Torrentine.
The Torrentine. Oh god damn it. Ooh, that's a great start. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Start the show officially.
I mean, we've been rolling, so yeah.
We're rolling. All right, cool.
About the kids already.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, welcome to the Indistinct Conversation podcast. I am your host, Nelson Crawford. I'm here joined by Xander Cook.
Hey, everybody.
And today, hold on, shit.
Professional podcaster, Nelson Crawford.
We'll redo all of that. Welcome to the Indistinct Conversation Podcast. My name is Nelson Crawford. I am your host. Been here every goddamn episode since the motherfucking beginning, and I'm joined by my co-host, Xander Cook.
Hey, everybody.
And we're joined by a guest, the bassist,
string
guitarist,
singer, songwriter,
pure musician, member of A Great Wide Nothing, Daniel Graham. Is it pronounced Graham?
Yes.
Did I do that? Okay,
it's
cool.
Graham.
Daniel Graham from Great Wide Nothing is on the show today. So, we got a guest. And you want to know what we do when we get a guest? We slime them! No, I'm kidding. We're not gonna slime.
I mean, these clothes don't... these clothes are... Okay, we can do that.
Just come...
If you had actually surprised me by sliming somebody in my basement, I would have died laughing, but then I would have been like early era Xbox rage quit on I would have had as soon as the tears left my eyes from laughing, I would have been so mad.
Just come down here. It's like a whole shock jock show.
And shit. Like, god damn it.
Have you ever thought about how the slime would get in your beard?
Oh god.
It'd be miserable.
I grew up in Orlando, and they had the Nickelodeon play, so you could do the tour and shit.
Yeah. Did they slime you?
No, I didn't. I wasn't lucky enough to actually get slime, but they showed us how to make it, and they fed it to us. It's made
of eat that shit.
It's made of chocolate syrup and shit.
What?
Yeah, it's like candy. And it's the whole time those kids are getting slime, they want it in their mouths because it tastes good. It tastes like fucking chocolate sauce and food coloring getting dumped on you.
That's
so
weird.
I don't know what to do with that information.
There was some real sinister shit going on in Nickelodeon in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys have heard the Dan Schneider stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole...
Fuck Dan Schneider.
Yeah, I mean, God. Man.
I feel so bad for... all the young women that worked in that environment. I need to speak up. Okay.
Sorry.
Or zoom in, whichever.
Yeah, you can boost him.
Boost.
Yeah, give him a little boost. Let him be comfortable. He's the guest.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah,
man.
all those stories are so screwed up, and it's the same guy who was like, oh yeah, we should make our logo just a foot.
Yep.
What?
I remember that period in time.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up is what it was.
That honestly should have been our first clue.
It really should have. I mean, I've been watching a lot of 90s era sitcoms and shit, and I feel like everybody was just wrapped in the comfort food that was those shows that they didn't want to take a peek behind the curtain and be like, what kind of shit? Yeah. What are you doing back there, Dan Snyder?
Well, I mean, would it be 90s or more early 2000s?
I mean, when did the Amanda Show start? 99?
It was late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Getting into that era.
Yeah, I mean, they say bring in the dancing lobsters, and you stop thinking about all the fucked up shit immediately.
I think they started thinking they could get away with more shit because of Ren and Stimpy and Rocco.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh boy,
because that's and fucking I always forget how to say the dude's name. The creator of Ren and Stimpy's got some pesky shit in his past too. Finding 13-year-old artists and being like, wow, you're really talented. Why don't you come to my cabin for a few months and have my intensive training seminar? Their parents would just let them go.
Jeez,
oh my
that's
God.
that's on the same level as the R. Kelly shit.
Yeah, dude, it's very fucking spooky what these rich famous people do.
So are we good on his mic? We're solid levels and everything?
One more test just so I stop stressing about
Test.
it.
Check.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine.
That's fine?
Yeah, it's cool.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
All right, because I have to edit this.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
All right.
Fix it in pre.
Let's fucking talk about some music stuff.
Yeah, dude.
All right.
Tell us about your band.
Because let's go deep into the Great Wide Nothing. So, there's three of you.
Yes.
Three people in this band.
Yeah.
Where do we start here? Where does give me a timeline here of where we're starting from.
So, I used to play in this Christian band called Omnipresent, right?
Oh,
we were Evangelical Rush.
Dope.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're for what it was at the time and that the place I was at in my life, I don't regret any of it.
Sounds kind of cool.
I mean, I used to work for a church band myself, so
and it's and one of my best friends to this day is the drummer from that band, which he and I kind of kept the damn thing going for years after the original guitarist quit.
Right.
Nice.
But no, there just came a time where it was it's about time to hang it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
we had an ill-fated tour. And then,
So what year was that? Around what year was that?
oh God, we called it quits with Omnipresent in 2015, 2016.
Okay.
So relatively recent, but not super recent.
It still feels like yesterday to me, but I also,
Yeah, right.
my time dilation gets worse as I age.
Oh yeah, that shit happens. But no, so about 2 years go by, right? And I kind of gave up on music for a lot.
Yeah.
For the most part, I went through a bit of a crisis of faith and period of depression. Well,
Been there.
yeah, and I ended up, I got to the point where I was just miserable, but I was listening to music, so that was kind of my comfort at the time.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of questions. There was a lot of trauma that I was dealing with from my teenage years that I was only able to really finally address as an adult, getting married, living out on his own, which is
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's a motherfucker.
Yeah, that sounds like a
it's-
lot to deal with at once.
Yeah.
It's a lot of life changes all
Well,
at the
yeah,
same time.
and that's the thing, is that it was so much of it was the transition of it all,
Yeah.
and it's at the darkest point. I remember buying a vinyl copy of this album, Misplaced Childhood by Marillion,
Okay.
which there are parts of it that are so fucking corny and cheesy, like
Yeah.
in terms of the
That's another kind of proggy band, right?
it's 80s neo prog.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's that subgenre shit
Yeah.
right there.
Oh yeah, it's,
That's diving deep. Yeah.
we'll dive deep later,
yeah.
but no, it's regardless of how very dated the music might have sounded, the lyrics are all about that kind of issue,
Yeah.
dealing with your demons, dealing with the idea, the feeling that you lost out on your childhood.
Yeah.
And it's how you reconcile the destruction of your innocence. And so all that really resonated. I remember finishing that record, and I was on the floor of one of the bedrooms in my little apartment that I had with my girlfriend at the time, and I was crying.
Oh, yeah.
And that was the catharsis that I really needed, and the inspiration that told me, okay, I need to start writing again. I need to get this shit out of my head and out of my heart,
Yeah.
and into some kind of tangible creative outlet.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's very healthy.
So, like you do when you are super insulated and have a particular favorite genre, I wrote a total retro prog record.
Yeah.
I was drawing on a lot of Steven Wilson, Kevin Gilbert, who was more of a 90s pop prog crossover guy. But
Prog is one of those genres that's just eternal.
Yeah.
Like, just like every punk band still sounds like
Yeah.
the Ramones. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you
Yeah.
know.
And you were doing this like alone.
yeah, I was.
Oh shit.
So I was sitting at home, and I would write the keyboard parts, I would write the guitar parts, the bass parts,
That's
vocals and everything.
We were joking about this earlier. There's like two types of bass players.
Yeah.
There's the guy like you who does everything and is the man behind the band, and there's like the guy like me who's just there to get fucked up and rock out. And that's
You know what? There is room in the world for both.
absolutely.
But no, so I was sitting at home and just recording these demos in the spare time. If I wasn't working, but my wife was, we would, I would write these demos. And
Fucking cool, man.
yeah, well, and eventually it was like, okay, I want to start playing live again. And I want to record this album and actually have other musicians on this album, because God knows I can't play keyboards, in a live setting.
Sure.
Anyone can go in on GarageBand and, fuck around and figure out a way to...
Yeah, put it all together. Yeah.
Put it all together,
and you
time
don't-
quantize it.
And you don't want to stand on stage with your laptop.
Right. that would kind of suck, and
Yeah,
it's
I've been there. It's,
when you're right,
it's weird.
It
Yeah.
works for some folks. It's not my style. It's not my
Yeah.
aesthetic, I should say. You know
well,
what
and
I mean?
it's not something that when you're dealing with like 9-minute multi-movement pieces of music, it doesn't work.
That too. There's a vibe that has to be
Yeah.
present. For
You don't
sure.
see Frank Zappa using laptops.
No, hell no.
So it came time to kind of look for some musicians. Well,
Yeah.
during the ending period of Omnipresent, we had kind of a weird thing. The drummer, the guy that I talked about earlier, he ended up having a completely by surprise, which is
The best kind of surprise.
Wow.
and that's a different conversation.
Kind. That's what. Yeah. That's a crazy
Well,
surprise.
at one point I was on the phone with Kyle, one day talking about, hey, maybe we should go try to play this show at Sweetwater next weekend,
Sure.
And the next day he called me, he said, hey, so I'm not going to be able to drum for a little while.
Yeah, I need to practice.
Yeah.
That's fucking nuts.
And so for a little while, you know, Kyle would step back, and we had Jeff, who is my drummer now. He was drumming with us, and I knew Jeff previously from filling in as bass player for a punk band that was called That's What She Said, which became Abide by Lies.
Okay, cool.
Which, yeah. But so needless to say, you know,
Right.
going back to 2017 now. So I'm looking for a drummer, and my first thought is Jeff. You know, Jeff Matthews, who is trained, who was trained at the Atlanta Institute of Music.
Super tight drummer, dude.
Yeah,
Just from watching the video, I'm like, nice. You're
God,
like,
he's incredible.
Yeah.
He really is, and the thing is, it's hard enough to find drummers that can like wrap their head around an odd time signature and a change, and you know, not even think about
to
it.
keep it in the groove the whole time.
He's effortless, and he ornaments it. You know,
That's dope.
But instantly, my thought was Jeff. You
Mm-hmm.
know, because he was one of the few drummers I could think of that had the technical chops to pull it off. He was one of the few that I knew were relatively free with their
Mm-hmm.
schedule.
That's
that would
always
be
the
into
hard
it.
part. The
Well, and
schedule.
The elusive, not busy drummer.
Yeah. Well, and he's still busy, but Jeff is pretty good about, you know, balancing schedules.
Yeah.
He's very professional, not only in how good of a player he is, but also just how well he manages like 5 or 6 different bands, you know, at the worst.
That's crazy.
I mean, I feel like you're never gonna find a drummer that's in just one band.
they're
like,
always
there's
just
no
completely
fucking
wrapped
way.
up and busy. It's if I could go back, I'd do it. I'd have learned drums so that I could have a freaking career.
Someone is
Who's somebody, Mr. Popular over here? Oh, hello. I mean, your dad. It's fine.
No,
It's like your
and
phone's on.
that's exactly what it is right now. It's
Oh man.
my wife is just telling me that there was a fight, but it has been settled by Lunchables.
Fantastic.
So
Sounds like the spats we get into
you
down
know
here.
what? That's the secret. That's how we're going to solve the conflict in the Middle East. We drop Lunchables.
You just they have a thing with like pork products, so it would have to be the turkey
Yeah,
ones.
I mean, food will do that. You
Here's
know,
the thing, though. That's the only kind my kids eat either.
That's good. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I almost got some of the pizza kind at Kroger the other day.
Those are good little snacks.
I was,
Those are good.
I was,
I love those.
I'm glad I didn't, because when I came home, there was just like an actual pizza from Papa John's here. But you know, I was just like, I'm thinking like walking home from the grocery store with like my tray of Lunchable pizzas. Like I would have felt so fucking awesome. Just like, quarantine rules.
It'd be even better if you were skateboarding, then you would go viral. And
Oh, yeah, yeah.
man, skateboarding with a Lunchable.
Wolfing.
Hell
Trying to
yeah!
eat those pizzas while I can myself. Anyway, sorry, we got sidetracked there. But,
Look, I'm ADHD as fuck. All I do is get sidetracked.
That's
that's
all
good.
this show
You'll
is
fit right in.
Tangent City.
fit right
It's
in.
kind of in the title, right?
It is indistinct,
Um,
baby.
But
So yeah, you found your drummer,
yeah,
and
you know, I got together with Jeff, and then I was like, okay, I need a keyboardist, and they don't have to be like super crazy technically proficient, but it needs to be somebody that is at least a little bit above my level, which is
Yeah.
like fumbling my way through it, you know, your basic college
Sure.
piano course.
that dude you got could kind of slay though. I mean, I was watching those. I mean, it was very impressive, man.
You know, here's the thing. That's all I needed was somebody who was a little bit better than me, but
Right.
I ended up getting a fucking prodigy.
Someone who like really wanted to dive into the project. And
Well,
shit.
and that's just Dylan, and
Yeah.
he's a force of nature.
That's
like,
cool. It's really awesome.
In every way, in every sense of the word, the kid's a force of nature, and I say kid like he's that much younger than me.
Well,
He's-
I do that too. I call
Yeah.
older people kids.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Xander's fucking.
I'm 33, man.
33, and
I haven't even thought about being a dad yet. So
he acts like he's 55
yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I swear to God.
but I also like still just basically wish I was 12.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
the Mario decor hasn't clued
Yeah.
you in, like all that.
Well, that's-
talking about how you thought you missed your childhood. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, yeah, that's why I still play Mega Man X every day. Like that's
It's like, I'm 25 and I'm the business end of this thing.
That's Jeff. I think you'd love
Hell yeah.
you'd love
Yeah.
Jeff if you got to meet him. But like, I'll tell you this: he's got the few times I've like been in his room at his house. It's been wall to wall like Funko Pops
Hell yeah.
and
Nice.
prop replicas from Zelda. Batman stuff.
I haven't pulled the trigger on all the Zelda merch that I want yet, but I'm thinking. I saw Jason with his Keyblade the other day.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god!
It's funny because like
Shout out to IJR for having a Keyblade.
I've got a fucking like knick-knack shelf with just like a bunch of shit. And like next to it, I've got like my bookcase with like figures and like my bars on that and everything. And like my girlfriend looks at it. I was like, yeah, rearrange it. She's like, it still just looks like it's just a bunch of shit, big thing of shit. Yeah. And like she comes down here and sees what we're doing. I was like, yeah, we set all this up. She's like, this is a mess. It's like we spent a summer and a half.
I got no feminine input down here. All right, this is just brutal. Like whatever works. Got the wireframe shelves.
Yeah, it's like we have desks and we have shelves.
The desks were free.
Anyway,
so you assembled the Avengers here.
Yeah,
more or less. So
squad together.
So it took a while to find a keyboardist, and in the meantime, I just ended up having a couple different people fill in on guitar so that we could play some gigs.
Yeah, that's cool.
And we were playing a gig at His Rock. Up and coming.
Oh man, that's a throwback right there.
You know that Bob still has the joint open.
It's still what?
Yes, he's moved locations several times, but he's
okay. Yeah,
he's currently Ponce de Leon Music and Coming.
No.
Okay, it's right off of Atlanta Highway. I want to say no.
Huh.
Well, no, it's Buford Drive. If you take Buford Drive straight through Cumming, through downtown, and go past Ponce de Leon is over there. It's on the back half of Ponce de Leon Music.
Man, I never get out to Cumming. So
I usually end up driving through Cumming, so I'm usually going.
I mean, there's a very good
That's
reason
cool
to
that there's still a scene though. That's kind of cool.
I mean, isn't that where the fucking Callous Cowboys came out of? It's fucking Cumming.
Yeah. Well, I'll get more into this later. We go way back.
Yeah,
Carson and I do. Yeah,
that's cool. Well.
I used to have a fun Carson story about this amp and stuff.
No, Carson. They actually were a fan of Omnipresent.
Oh shit!
Nice.
So like, the funny story is like I was fresh out of high school and they were still in high school.
Right.
And anyway, Carson just came up at the end of a set one time, and I had no idea they were in the audience.
Yeah.
But they were like, "Oh my God, your bass playing is so good, and this music sounds like Rush," and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Here, my name is Carson. I do like all this little production stuff, and it was just the coolest thing, and we've been friends ever since.
That's the same shit that I used to do to people. Just like walk up and be like, "Hey, what's going on?" Yeah, no, I'm not. And like sometimes people would be so fucking turned off by it that they just be like, "Who the fuck was? What is going on?"
I'm kind of that way. Like if so, like when, and I was almost this way with Carson. But at the same time, I feel like I also project because I'm like kind of a big and imposing dude, and so if I come over excitedly to somebody, it's like a different vibe. You know what I mean? Like I'm like towering over you, like, "Hey, I really like your shit. We should do shit together later." Like it's like I don't know.
Wait, wasn't it you that messaged me when the whole "Call Me Carson" thing happened? Was that you?
Oh,
yeah, because like you remember the whole YouTuber thing where the dude Call Me Carson was like getting outed for like sexting like underage fans. And like I was like, fuck this Carson dude, and you like messaged me like, "You're not talking about Carson Face, are you?" I was like,
"Ooh.
no,
I'm not talking about my buddy, are you?"
It's the YouTuber.
That's funny as fuck.
It's like don't worry, Carson has qualities that I'm not exactly fond of, but trust me, it's not that. Like it's not that stuff.
No,
that shit was. Oh man, that was cracking me up.
That's
that
cool.
Day.
So you were playing church gigs for them while they were still in church, and that's and now everyone's just like rocking out, man. I think that's really interesting. That's really cool.
Carson and I had this conversation not too long ago that we're kind of like the last ones left.
Out of Cumming. Yeah.
Well, and that's.
It's hard to keep at it when you're like an adult, man. That's real determination.
Well,
that's kind of how I looked at it with the Marietta scene. For a while, it felt like it was just getting down to me and like Mike, and then like Mike's over now, and I'm just like, well, I'm making YouTube videos.
They did.
Yeah, they quietly went into that good night.
Oh well, nothing great lasts forever.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we were at His Rock, and we played this gig, and it was kind of a little stripped-down acoustic thing. I remember we played some, acoustic versions of some of these songs that I'd already written, or fragments of them, because the first album is 4 songs, but they're
I'm
long
having
as
a hard
hell.
time even imagining your music acoustic. Sound.
Yeah, right. Like, how
That's
the
cool
fuck-
though.
Well, the good thing is, like, Lethal Neon at the very least, that one, and then like the first movement of the View from Olympus suite, they're both very much driven by acoustic guitar, because that's,
Sure.
besides the whole crazy symphonic prog thing, another of my big influences is singer-songwriter stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting
Especially
up
like
and scrumming.
90s alternative and pop. I grew up on Collective Soul and
Ooh,
Billy Joel.
Rock and roll, yeah.
fully-
Hell yeah.
My dad played Billy Joel in the car all the time, and Collective Soul was constantly on
That's
the radio.
cool.
So.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after one of these acoustic gigs, there's a guy named Jacob Harshman, who's now in Lane Denton's band. Don't know if you know who that is, but
No idea.
incredible blues guitarist and
Yeah.
singer-songwriter.
Right
But Jacob Harshman was playing a set, and he played some songs on piano. I was like, hey, you're better than I am, and you look like you're confident on the instrument. I need a keyboardist. And so Jacob Harshman turned around and he said, well, I'm flattered, but honestly, if you want a really good keyboard player, there's this guy that plays at my church. His name is Dylan Porper. You need to hit him up. So I did. And Dylan learned like 5 songs before our first practice and absolutely nailed them.
Do you know Stephen DeFore?
No, I don't.
Okay, he's this guitarist. I went to high school with him, and like, there was like, I joined like a hardcore band. Like, we both were in like, we were both in 2 different bands. I was a punk band, he was a metal band, but like,
Yeah.
we all went to the same school.
Right.
And like later, when like our bands like broke up, we started a hardcore band, like kind of like a hybrid of like our 2 bands.
It's like the
Was that
absolute-
Holders?
No, that was this band called Shelters.
Gotcha.
And that was a
I've
whole,
heard that name, though.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. Like, even after it wasn't what it started as, it kept going. Like, after none of the original people were in it, like, I think besides Steven, and he wasn't originally in it.
Some of the best bands
Like,
have that going on.
It's
though.
like Shelters kept going, but like,
Yeah.
it's like we had like a run, then we went on break for like a couple months, and then we're like, okay, let's get back together, because there was this venue called the 4S that was going to open, and we were playing like the first show there, and so the bass player Josh was like, what if we get Steven to do like lead guitar stuff? And so we asked Steven, he's like, cool, I'll do it. And literally it's the same thing, like fucking within the week learned all of the songs. Fucking we send him a cover, he's like, oh cool, fucking gets it. Like, I think we were doing like Sticking in My Eye by NoFX, and like, it's got like a whole like crazy guitar solo part on it. Oh, can you grab him another San Pellegrino, Xander?
Yeah.
Is that one all good?
Yeah, it said video recording stop automatically. So
Oh, well, then yeah, they just restart.
except for that one.
That's fine.
Nothing wrong with a little gap.
There's always gaps. In memories and learning.
Well,
but like,
you know-
yeah, he just picked it up out of nowhere, and we're just like, holy shit, that's
Thank you.
savant musician kind of shit.
Well, and
it's
that's
crazy.
That's just it, and it's like
I'm the opposite.
so. Dylan was at that time going to the Atlanta Institute of Music,
Oh,
which is where Jeff graduated from.
So yeah, you guys are all then well. Have you two or no?
I mean, I didn't go
You're just
there.
a badass.
I'm not going to say that myself, but there's a. I'll accept the praise.
Yeah, so just to like, I mean, when I was watching that video earlier, and just like trying to soak it all in, the first thing that I like, there's a type of a musician that I just consider like a very athletic player, and you guys are all that.
Yeah.
Like there's no stopping, there's no
Yeah.
chilling, and
Yeah,
I
no,
and I
and
really respect that because
Thank
like,
you.
you called me out on my stoner doom shit, which is it's the exact opposite of that. Like how long can I make this chord last?
You know,
what
I
I
love
mean?
that shit, though.
It's
I
fun,
really
and,
do.
and for like a meditative mindset, it's
Yeah.
cool. But like watching you just like play that fucking bass riff, just killing it while you're singing this crazy song. You're just like, okay, yeah, these guys are next level, like
Thank you.
well trained
They're,
athletes, dude. You know,
No,
I mean,
Yeah, it's very
I-
TT and G of you.
yeah.
I never studied bass. I did study voice at UNG actually. So
Okay.
my vocal background is more like choral and operatic music, like
Oh,
"Oh Danny boy,
Yeah.
the pipes are calling," that kind of
Nice.
shit, you know.
Your speaking voice almost implies that.
exactly. Yeah.
You've got a very polished way of using your voice, but that's cool. That's awesome.
Well, needless to say, my instructor fucking hated that I was in a rock band.
Dude, oh my god, that's fucking high school was hell. It's like my course teacher's like, "What are you doing? You're smoking weed. You're fucking in a band.
You're yelling half the time."
Exactly. Yeah, I'd like walk in on a Monday, like my voice shot, and he'd just be like, "What the? Do you even care?" And I was like, "I'm like this because I care."
Nonetheless, though, I mean, it was I never graduated from UNG. I'm the stereotypical college dropout.
Same
but
I just didn't go.
No chance.
But you know, I picked up so much that I still utilize, like in terms of like using breath support, making sure you're never straining your voice, just knowing what to look for. And
you got the basics down.
Yeah. And it's those are things that are invaluable, and that's the only reason I can still sing now, realistically, because I'm naturally a bass baritone.
Oh wow.
So
you're pushing it up there.
Same, dude.
You know, in everything that I sing with Great Wide, it's always top of my register.
Yeah.
But
I mean, it doesn't sound very nasally though. That's the thing.
No, it's wide open and it's respectable, man.
Like as high as you're going in your register, it's very like chesty.
Thank you. And it's the breath support, and it's also like, even though it's not really nasal, there's like that space, kind of the palate right behind the nasal cavity.
There's a term for it. It's like right in the back. Yeah, I haven't been in a choral place in a long time. But
anyway, so we're digressing here, but
truly
got together with Jeff and Dylan, and we kept trying to make a guitar player work. Right, we went through a couple different people. I don't know if you remember the band Crashtown Molly.
I feel like I've heard of them.
Dylan, I don't know if he wants me to say his real last name because he keeps fucking changing it on Facebook. It's something weird.
We'll just call him Dylan. It's fine.
Yeah. But other Dylan, the guitar playing Dylan, you know, good buddy of mine, we actually recorded like this acid jam rock little 8-minute EP together in his basement one afternoon. I call it Shatner Drops Acid.
I'm into it.
It's very dramatic.
Yeah. I'll have to send it to you. But, But
put a little bit of it underneath.
Yeah, we use it as bump music or something.
Yeah. But you know, he and I were good friends, and God love him, he's a great guitar player, but he just isn't the type that really gets into anything that falls outside of 4/4, maybe 3/4.
Sure.
So it was just kind of stylistically didn't work out too well. I remember we went up to Memphis to record a song because I won some songwriting contests.
Oh shit!
Don't get too excited. It was the Salvation Army sponsoring it.
Dude,
still cool though.
That's fine. Yeah, working for a church got me on my first tour, so like.
Not knocking churches at all necessarily, but
that's my job.
Yeah.
We get it, Xander. You're Satanist.
You're so edgy. Yeah.
Well, hi, Buddhist here.
Yeah, right.
Episcopalian Buddhist. It's funny. I've ended
You're
up
just making up words at this point.
Yeah, I've ended up like becoming part of this group of dads on Twitter. That are all like super into Zen and meditation and whatnot.
That's
it's
awesome.
Like, it's like, oh, did you have your Zazen session interrupted by a screaming baby this morning? Me too.
I'm a member of a group of like working class dads who just like stoner amps. So it's like I think we all find our dad crews on social media. You know what I mean? That's cool though.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to offend you about the church.
Oh no, don't worry. I'm not offended. I've grown past the point of being offended by much of anything.
All beliefs are valid. It's
cool.
Especially if you're not a Q guy. That's the real.
If you're a QAnon conspiracy believer, I'd probably tell you.
That's about the line these days.
Yeah.
Fuck off, QAnon.
Don't even be in my house right now.
At least Flat Earth is entertaining.
Dude, oh man, those Flat Earth debates are wild. Holy shit! Have you heard how they talk about like how like weather systems work?
Yeah.
I had a Lyft passenger the other night, right?
Nice.
So I drive for Lyft as like a secondary job occasionally.
Oh yeah, I used to do that.
Fun money.
And this guy I picked him up in Lawrenceville, and we were going up to Johns Creek. Mm-hmm. And on the way there, I heard, I hate rap because I don't like being cursed out. I love the police presence in this neighborhood. It makes me feel safe. And as long as this disc of an Earth has been around,
Jesus
My God.
Christ.
I was super I was super cordial and like.
Well, you're in a customer service situation where you just,
Dude.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I dropped him off at I didn't drop him off. I stopped for him at a liquor store at his request, and he tipped me $15. So
see that's
this whole time I was just thinking, oh my God.
I forgot how much shit that I just like either repressed or just tried to like just wash right past me from driving Lyft because like that
You
shit
find some wild shit.
dude,
Well,
holy
people's
shit.
brains are so deep in the internet these
Fucking
days.
anytime you pick up some like older gentleman that's on his way to a bar, usually white, it's gonna get weird. And like there was once I picked up these two couples that were on their way to some like old school blues bar like in Vinings or some shit, and like fucking all four of them try to cram in my back seat. And you saw my car; it's a tiny blue car. And these guys in their leather jackets and their Levi jeans and boots, like they're gonna get on a motorcycle at some point that never comes, or with these like younger women, and like they're just talking about just the fucking weirdest shit, dude. Just like how, you know, they got nieces in Florida, but you know, it's never been the same since the whole Al Gore thing. And I'm just like, oh my God. It's like
whole Al Gore thing?
Exactly. I didn't want to ask.
Al Gore,
exactly.
I'm
guessing they were talking about the election. I don't know. But like he got out and he tipped me like $25 and I was just like, it's Saturday.
I've only encountered those guys when I was working at Guitar Center or like when they try to fight me at bars, and it's just like, God damn it, dude! Like, if I would fight those guys if they would tip me $25.
That was the point in my life where I was welcome to a bar fight, because I would go drink after I got done driving the Lyft. And
I don't blame you.
And just be like, what? Okay,
you do Lyft all night, then have to take a Lyft home from the bar.
That was how one night ended. Like I fucking ended up
like
going
the whole
and just
thing in
getting
SpongeBob.
hammered.
Like, is there a chain of postmen? Is there a chain of alcoholic Lyft drivers?
Yeah, that's absolutely.
My Lyft driver's picking up my Lyft driver. Like, God damn.
That's what you call the service economy,
Oh
folks.
my God.
Anyways, where the fuck were we?
We were talking about this band, this Rush band.
Yeah, it's like you got everything together.
Yeah.
And you guys went up to Tennessee to record because you had a songwriting contest.
So we were talking about the guitarist.
I'm getting good at this reeling it in thing.
You know, so we had Dylan, the guitar player Dylan, and he didn't really work out just stylistically. There was this guy I met at UNG. His name was Adream Thompson.
Adream.
ADREAM. And he was a theater major.
That's incredible.
Of course he was a theater major.
This guy, I swear to God, I've never met a guitar player that had as much of a grasp of like jazz guitar.
Cool.
Jeez.
Like a mix of jazz and blues and everything in between. And I would love to have made that work, but he was never really able to make it.
Well,
that's always a hard one.
You know,
with
and
the
I mean this
scheduling.
as a compliment, but your bass style doesn't necessarily require a guitar player.
You know, and that's where we ended up settling.
Yeah, like when I was watching it, I texted Nelson like, yeah, these guys are doing that plays the bass so that I don't need a guitar player thing, which is like what I love. Like, I got into music because of Primus, first of all. And I thought that what I liked about Primus was the guitar until I learned that the guitar player in that band is really just soloing and Les is doing everything else on that 6-string bass. You know what I mean? And that's, you know, that's what all these things, the reason the appeal of these bass or these amps to me is they're bass amps and guitar amps.
Yeah.
And, you know, you just crank them up and get that sound. I saw your little rig on stage. You got a little bit of both going on. And I'm like, that's how you do that, man.
God, you just made me think about one of these days somebody's going to be like, why are you guys using the working class music set? It's just like...
They use ours.
Yeah, it's like, sorry, that's taking it to
all
soft,
just
of course.
Xander's basement.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got to a point where we were just like, fuck it, we're going to record it as a trio.
That's cool, though.
So the drummer from Omnipresent, Kyle, he ended up recording our first album.
Hell yeah.
At his home studio. He did it free of charge. He basically...
Badass.
You know, he told us, hey, look, you know, maybe pay me a cut out of album sales later. I need an album to put my name on as, a producer just starting out.
We all need to get going.
Gotta get that portfolio going, man. Yeah.
And that was the first album that he recorded. And there were, it was a learning experience for everyone involved. But at the end, the end product, I'm pretty proud of overall. It's kind of lo-fi in a way in some respects, but it's a really good album.
Lo-fi can be cool.
Yeah.
I
The
make
View
a
from
lot
Olympus.
of
The View from Olympus. That was the
think
first
I
album.
might have had that song on a playlist, which
I remember we were supposed to do an interview like 2 years ago.
Were we?
Yeah, we talked about it.
Fuck. I'm sorry. I'm really bad about this shit. Actually.
Well, no. Like
years.
we'd never
that was
scheduled
time,
it. We'd never scheduled it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just like I'd love to come on the podcast, and you were like, oh yeah, I'd love to have you. I listen to the music, and it's retro prog. I like it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because I think I put together like a playlist of like Southeast bands, and I think I put you guys on there.
Well, I appreciate it.
And like, it threw me off because I think the song that I had on that playlist is completely different from the stuff that you guys have out now. Like the album that just came out.
That's kind of the case.
Yeah.
It's like
I mentioned
wildly different.
I mentioned that the first album was very much retro prog.
Yeah.
It was, it was very much kind of old school Steven Wilson 70s worship prog.
Yeah, it's wide. You wanna build the area
those
you're
big
in.
organs, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I love that sound.
And some of that is always going to be in our sound because it's so much a part of my musical DNA.
Yeah.
But you get to a point where you're like, okay, I want to do something that actually resonates with kids, not 50-year-old white men.
Sure, yeah. That's kind of like Rush has been old my entire life, what I mean? And so it's like, as much as cool as that band is, they are one of those. It's like when I start talking to kids about fucking Fugazi and like Motorhead, and they're like, okay, Grandpa, that's cool. Like, the 70s must have rocked.
Yeah, it's like my younger brother didn't know Will Smith used to be a rapper. Like,
I mean, he's probably better off for that.
Yeah.
Dude, okay, hold on. Relax.
I think Will Smith, early Will Smith?
I'm talking early.
Fair point.
I'm not talking like...
Parents just don't understand.
Have you heard that instrumental?
Okay, but is that Will Smith or is it his producer?
Dude, it's him and DJ Jazzy.
Yeah.
Fucking Summertime? Are you kidding me? Are you fucking... Do not get me started on Miami. Wild Wild West. Okay, to name a few. All right?
One day, I think I was in the 5th grade, and Getting Jiggy With It was like the big single at the time. On April 1st, the hip hop station played Getting Jiggy With It all day with no commercial breaks.
That's amazing.
Because the beginning and end are like the same thing.
Yeah, they just boom, boom, chicka, boom, boom, and it's like fucking hits that bass and it just starts over.
Yes.
Have you ever heard of the band Tree Fort?
Oh, I love those guys.
I've heard that name. I haven't really listened to them.
They've
ska band, right?
They have, somewhat.
Kind of.
I'm sure they haven't aged well, but there was one night at Swayze's where they're doing a set where they just...
That's where I've heard them. I've seen them on a flyer.
They were the guys lighting their dicks on fire and puking and all that shit.
Oh.
And like there was one night where like...
E.G. Allen punk.
Yeah, like before the show, they all got too drunk and we're like, fuck, don't know if we can do this. And they're like, what if we just do the shenanigans? We do no music.
No music,
we just do the shenanigans. And so they come out like going crazy and they have Working for the Weekend by Loverboy playing. And like they just get straight to the nonsense of like going crazy and chugging milk and like hanging up lights and all this shit, and like they just let the song keep on going. Like it would stop and then it would start again, and it became this fucked up thing. By like the 3rd time, we all see where we are, just covered in milk and puke and just like flour that was in the air, and it stops and they let it pause for a second, and everyone's like, again, and it's just like and everybody just goes back to it. Like fucking they had 25 minutes
God, I miss
of
live
Working
music.
for the Weekend by Loverboy, just over and over again, of people just chugging milk and puking and lighting their dick
Chugging
on
muke?
fire, chugging milk and chugging muke and pilking. Yeah,
He's so excited he can't talk. It's like,
sorry, it's the first day with my new tongue.
But I get that. Dude. I've been locked inside for like a year, and it's like just a wild ass rock show that makes no sense.
That's what I'm saying. It was like it was borderline performance art. It was fucking crazy.
I fucking love that.
And like that night, I remember I brought a girl to the show, but I was so stoked that like Treefort wanted me to be a part of things. Completely abandoned this girl. Completely was just like, I don't give a shit about being cool. Like I'm gonna go do some cool local stuff.
Being cool was being on this stage.
Exactly. And like this girl who just, knew I was in a band, like a punk band. We did some crazy stuff every now and again. But this was like, I don't know this man. For her, she was just like the whole ride home, she just wouldn't talk to me. And I'm like talking to my buddy about what's going on, and like we try to bring her in the conversation, and she's just like, yeah, no, yeah.
Imagine like this poor woman thought you were like some cool stoic rock and roll guy, and then she watched you do that.
Yeah, just like just chugging milk and like puking off a ladder.
I think that might be less embarrassing than, like my wife thinking, "Oh, you're a big bad rock star. Oh, you're in a prog band."
Yeah, well, try being in like a stoner metal band.
I mean,
it takes a very specific time of abused woman to appreciate that. Music.
Try going from being in a fucking cool ass 2-piece punk band to being the podcast guy. It's a weird jump, I tell you.
Like when I try to show a woman or anybody a fucking song that I wrote, and it's just like one chord for an hour while I like think about the universe. Like, okay, I don't think you're getting much cross here.
I mean, as far as
like, I understand, I get it. It's for me.
I just can't play music in front of people alone anymore without feeling pretentious. Like,
it's weird. I don't see. I saw a guy on stream the other day on Twitch who was just like streaming himself writing a song into Pro Tools.
I thought about doing that,
and I was like,
oh no.
I could see this maybe be interesting if you were like the funniest comedian in the world. Getting into writing music, but like me, when I'm writing music, there's nothing coming out of my mouth. There's no interaction with the crowd. You know what I mean?
It's literally just
I don't. Yeah,
fucking
so like,
at the screen and shit. Yeah,
like literally all he's saying is like, oh yeah, maybe I'll do this instead, and then like, oh, thanks for the donation. But if he got it, dude.
I guess.
I mean, shit.
I guess.
But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. But yeah, I do just so miss just being on stage with the group. And God damn it, dude! Like, so on that note, you guys, you got your EP together. You got this record together, right? Yeah. That's the one that's on Spotify now.
Well, we've got both records on Spotify. So we did, The View from Olympus. That was the first album.
Okay.
And that was the retro prog thing.
I didn't see that one when I looked it up. I'll try again.
Well, it's good. Cool. It's good, but honestly, like
this one's way better.
We're all a lot happier with the new one.
The first thing that came to my mind, I forget which song was playing because my Spotify isn't set up right now. It just did the shuffle thing. Mm-hmm. But the first thing that came to my mind was like, this is like cinematic. Like it felt like they're like a sci-fi movie from like the 80s, and it was like the sun was rising on like a dead planet. And, like, I had all this imagery in my head right away.
That song "Superhero" that you guys have it's called "Superhero," right?
The song that he's talking about is probably "To Find the Light" part 1.
Okay, I think so. Yeah, "Superhero" was the one that got me cinematically because it's very TV trailery, It's like,
well, and that's been the point, that's
nice.
So Hymns for Hungry Spirits is, and we'll divert here for a second.
Yeah,
it's kind of a concept thing without being a concept thing. It's like an anthology of different stories.
Yeah.
And all the stories are bound together by the common theme of loss, longing, and finding peace.
That's cool.
Okay.
So, pardon me, that Pellegrino's getting to me. I don't want to burp obnoxiously in the microphone.
We do.
It's okay. Yeah,
we're a beer podcast.
Gotcha. A beer podcast occasionally talks about music.
Yeah, it's like I've been like.
It's like how every band is a fucking T-shirt company that happens to play an instrument.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no. So. To Find the Light Part 1 is more or less kind of just observation of the state of things. I wrote that when I was very pissed off politically and whatnot, and it's politically and religiously, and it's very
a crazy
much
couple of years. So I understand.
Yeah. And it was written about it kind of establishes the idea that unites all the themes in the album. It's what do you fucking do when all the systems and institutions and things that you build your identity around crumble. You know, for people who are deeply involved in churches, when there's a scandal that rocks a church, how do you deal with the fact that your faith is destroyed?
Yeah.
You know? When you are, you know, looking at an economy that fucking collapses, how do you deal with that? You know, because we're living through a time right now, and this was a reflection that I was undergoing. Is we're living through a time where we're witnessing the real-time collapse of capitalism.
It's fucking historic events on like a weekly basis now.
We frankly just took it all too far. We didn't do the checks and balances.
Oh boy, did we ever take it too far.
So we're witnessing the collapse of our economic system. We're witnessing the collapse of communication in a lot of ways. The collapse of, you know, religious and cultural institutions that used to be the backbone of our society.
All because of Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B making WAP.
You know?
God damn it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Goddamn women empowering themselves.
You're making a really good point, though.
But so that was the idea, was putting this out there, you know. And so the imagery that I had in mind, that particular song was written much more in an impressionistic kind of manner. Because I have different ways that I write different songs. If I want to get more into like an imagery kind of mindset, it's much more impressionistic, you know, kind of like John Anderson from Yes. You know? Like, who the fuck writes a lyric, a seasoned witch could call you from the depths of your disgrace and rearrange your liver to the solid mental grace? That's that you know, that's that obscure 70s prog shit that the words themselves don't hold the meaning, it's the picture they create.
Gets the people going, it's provocative.
Those guys really had a way with words.
So that's kind of the way that I wrote To Find the Light Part 1, and the imagery is, you know, there's a line, your father rode to Ragnarok with bloody hands and bleak repose, which sounds really fucking pretentious, like I'm some beat poet at an open mic.
Sure, but that's the point.
But yeah, and that's the point. It's it's that whole song is supposed to sound apocalyptic. It's like
you're painting a picture. You can't worry if it's too detailed. You know.
So it makes me very happy that it makes you think of the sun rising on a dead planet.
Yeah, like that's totally like I had this whole like picture in my head like right away, and then it kind of took me off guard when you started singing too, because it was like it was right when I was saying, oh, this is just like a really cool instrumental band, and then it's like, oh no, there are lyrics. This is like just a proper prog rock outfit.
I mean, when you take yourself seriously and it's good, then it's like it works, you know. Like,
well, and I think the key too is the thing that you don't want to do is take yourself too seriously. Like, take your subject matter and your art seriously. Don't take yourself seriously.
I feel like that's totally the vibe I get from what you're putting out too. Is like you don't have a self-serious attitude except about the music you're making,
because the music's fucking good. Like the music it's great shit. Like I was telling Xander, you guys have that track with Sarah and Susan from Sarah and the Safe Word, and that was like
Hymn for Hungry Spirit.
That's a fucking banger of a song, because that shit, like it's one of those like, again, it goes back to the kind of cinematic thing where it's one of those songs that just kind of keeps building and building, and then the strings start coming in and you're like, holy shit, where am I, you know?
So with that one,
that
one, it was very much a collaborative effort between me and Dylan, because the idea of the song, it's Georgia folklore. It's Lake Lanier being haunted.
Isn't Lake Lanier haunted though?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's like they're dead bodies in that shit, aren't they?
Yes. So when they created Lake Lanier, they evacuated a whole town. But the problem was, if you were poor or if you were black,
you couldn't really get out of there.
Well, it wasn't even that. It was the dead that weren't buried with like proper tombstones and whatever. If you were in a poor person's unmarked grave.
Oh, they're down there. Sorry.
If you were in an unmarked grave, you were left behind.
Oh, shit. So just all the dead bodies that were just unmarked are just fucking...
They're down there. And...
Oh, that's so gross.
Well, it's even the bones have probably decomposed by now.
I mean, still.
It makes me think of that old joke about like, wow, things are going crazy in the United States. It's almost like it's buried on an ancient Indian burial ground.
Well, and so
Native American burial grounds, Xander.
So
I've got a whole thing.
Have some manners, sir.
So that's the thing, is that you know, going into... In Buddhism, there is an idea of the hungry ghost, specifically in Chinese strains of Buddhism.
Cool.
Also a little bit in Tibetan, but it's more focused in China. And the idea is that, you can be reborn as a hungry ghost if there is something that you long for that cannot be satisfied in this life.
Okay, but what is a hungry ghost?
A hungry ghost is just
It's that Pokemon Hunter.
it's a wandering spirit. So it's a wandering spirit that the illustration commonly used is of like a bloated belly with a neck that can't fit food through it.
Oh, that's some kind of special hell right there.
Yeah. Well, and it's that happens because it's a desire that can't be fulfilled that you can't let go.
Yeah.
So if you learn to let go of that desire in the hungry ghost realm, you get reborn as something else that's better. You know, that's the idea.
Okay.
And in Mahayana Buddhism, which is the type that is spread throughout China, Tibet.
So what puts you at the doorstep of Buddhism here?
Oh, that's
because you said you came up like in the church and everything. So like,
well, and I'm still loosely affiliated with the Episcopal Church in particular because Episcopalians are chill as fuck. I love the Episcopal Church.
Now that's interesting to me because the only Episcopalians I've ever known were the opposite.
You know, there's been a shift over the last few decades, and that's why.
Interesting.
And there is a sharp divide within Episcopalian churches between the new direction of the church, which is LGBTQ affirming. Very much open, very much syncretic, I think is the correct term in terms of with other religions.
Yeah.
So
the church I grew up in was Lutheran, but it was also like the left-wing branch of Lutheran, where because there was like my mom took me to this new Lutheran church, not the one her dad went to that was old-fashioned. You know what I mean? It's like this Lutheran church has 3 guys with acoustic guitar.
oh man,
this is the kind of Lutheran church that like Garrett from Silent Planet would be found at.
Okay,
sure, yeah, that's pretty cool.
See, I mean, a white church with actual good musicians is. It's like an anomaly to me.
Yeah.
Like that's why I ended up working at one because like I walked in there and like thinking it was just gonna be a
so much P&W the Hillsong
like,
shit. Just I can't do it.
I get in there and like this guy has the fucking what's the fucking
Hillsong.
No, what's his face? The Chuck Berry fucking guitars. The fucking
335.
the hollow bodies.
Yeah.
The dude's fucking in there, fucking just
ripping it up,
ripping shit on one of those. And I was like, what do I have to do to play that?
Yeah, if God didn't want you playing guitar solos, electric guitar wouldn't have happened.
And like,
come on.
Yeah, next thing you know, I get a tryout and I'm working there and like fucking. Ended up getting lessons and all this shit and like, cause like they were like, okay, we want to do this, but. We only are able to do this. We're only able to work on this level, this side of the music. So if we show you everything, and then you go to this other side and do it, then we'll take over. And I was like, oh. Bet you guys just want to hand me the keys to your youth music group castle?
Ooh.
Fucking fine.
Good resources.
I'm in here putting fucking like breakdowns
cool.
and shit and like fucking religious music, and people are just like, yeah, all right.
See, I was trying to get in. Like, if they had let me get involved in the church, I'd probably still be a fucking Lutheran to this day. Because I was trying to do shit like that.
You remember?
I wanted to do a heavy metal version of Silent Night.
How old were you? How old were you in the first time you listened to Creed?
Oh God, I was like probably 6 or 7.
And that shit hit you like a wave, didn't it?
Oh yeah.
Fucking higher, arms wide open. You're like, ooh, yeah. And like that's how I was looking at it. I was like, oh, if they'll take that,
when I was 11 years old,
slip in all the other stuff.
Girlfriends quoted, "Can you take me higher?" to me. I never felt more in love since then. That was the pinnacle for me.
Yeah.
Fucking Creed, baby.
Man,
that's awesome.
Man, I remember I was at a church youth group retreat. There was a girl I had a crush on. Do you know what I fucking played her? In free time?
Let's hear
I
it.
played her "Just Breathe" by Pearl Jam.
Oh yeah, baby.
At like 14, I thought I understood those fucking lyrics.
Just melting the hearts, man.
Jeez, dude, I remember learning to play that song because
so
I saw.
It's a great song,
It
but
is.
you don't understand it at 13.
No idea what you're talking about. What do you? Yeah, it's like fucking. You've lost. You haven't lost anybody. You're 14. I mean, to be fair, there are young people. I mean, I was. Yeah, I'd been through shit, but not. I wasn't fucking Eddie Vedder in his 40s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you remember? Because that was around the same time, I think, when he made that solo album, Longing to Belong.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like half of it was like ukulele shit.
Ukulele
Like,
record.
I learned most of it because I was just like, this is gonna kill. And, like, I'm sitting here playing some of these songs, and I was just like, no, that's not me. Like, fucking, it was the same way with the fucking Into the Wild soundtrack, because I grew up a huge fucking Pearl Jam fan, and like subsequently everything else Eddie Vedder got into, and so it's like listening to all this shit, like thinking I get it, and then like getting older and being like, what was I doing?
Yeah.
Fucking, have you seen Into the Wild?
No.
It don't worry about it. The soundtrack's better than the movie.
I've got one almost as embarrassing.
There's this song like Society where he's talking about like fucking like what am I doing here and all this shit, and I'm thinking like,
You've never paid rent.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I've never paid.
You've never had to buy a dinner. Like,
yeah, it's like the most money I'd spent at that time was to fill up the tank on my shitty 1999 Chevy Lumina.
Okay.
You know,
you're older than I was thinking. Yeah, that's funny. When I was like 12 or 13, I was like I had one of those like. Not my girlfriend. We talk on the phone for hours every night, and like it was like right there. Like we should have done it, but I was just 12 and didn't know how to ask her out. And fucking, like she was listening to that song by Stained, that It's Been a While or whatever. And I'm just like, and I'm like, that song makes me think of you. And she's like, oh yeah, you remember what I taste like? And I'm like, wait, you're right. We're 12. I haven't.
That song.
You know what I mean? Like she just called me out and shot me the fuck down. It was so fucking funny. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I guess this is done, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being a teenager sucks.
That's how I played an acoustic version of fucking Black by Pearl Jam for this girl once, and like at the end of it, like I could tell that, like, I mean, kind of, not to brag, but I killed it, and like, but it's like I kind of like
not to toot my horn.
Just like I caught like a glimpse of myself in like the one of the like glass things on my fireplace because we were in the living room,
Christ.
and like I just like looked at myself and I was like, fuck, like I think because like that was
it?
probably one of the last times I like played guitar
Just
for a
major
girl.
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh fuck, and like it was such a like crisis of minds because she was loving it. She was like, oh my god, it was so great. And I was just like, I need to go lay down. But like, yeah, so
I just had an out of body experience and realized that I suck.
Yeah. So Buddhism, like if we because yeah, you said it's a big road, but like
we could spend a whole podcast episode talking about
We got time.
spirituality,
so
evolution.
what reeled you in though? What caught you? What caused you to bite?
It's more that all the things that I was dissatisfied about in terms of my own search.
Okay.
You know, delving into philosophy, the questions that I was left, because I was huge into a lot of different philosophers coming out of high school, early college.
Sure.
You know, and so many questions were left, you know, in terms of just, I guess, the metaphysics of it all, the eschatology, you know, that those were answered by Buddhism in a much more efficient way.
For sure.
Yeah.
But what's hilarious is that the more you dive into Buddhism, the more you can understand the other religions that are kind of closely related.
Yeah.
You know, there are books that are out there. I think my favorite title would be, there's one that's called I Couldn't Be a Christian Without Buddha.
That's cool. That's interesting.
And it's because the thing is, you learn to find the context and you learn to find the things that are a product of their time and the things that are meant to be universal.
I can totally dig that.
Like
Okay.
fucking Paul's letters, you know, this is one of my main gripes with a lot of evangelical churches. Evangelical. I've been watching too much Neon Genesis Evangelion. Whatever. My big problem with a lot of evangelical churches is one of the big issues is that they take the letters of Paul so seriously at face value.
Yep.
Sure.
And it's
Bible literates or literalists, I meant to say, are the ones that drive me the fucking crazy.
Yeah, well, and it's
like,
the thing is, you can appreciate the Bible as a document so much more when you take into account that it is a rich tapestry of multiple different strains of thought developing.
yeah.
You know?
And being edited and tweaked for thousands of years too.
And it's
like,
definitely not something you want to take literal.
Yeah, it's if you look at it as something that is the product of man trying to find meaning, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
If you take it as some kind of absolute that must always be consistent or otherwise everything falls apart, you're going to fall apart.
You're gonna have a bad time.
That's where you get these dangerous, crazy people. Like we were talking earlier, and this is, I don't want to go too far into this because it's such a bummer subject, but like there was that shooting.
I've got a whole. I can share off the record. I can share some thoughts on.
So we're just here in Atlanta, and it's like there's they're saying that he was a big church guy, and it's like was he mad at sex workers because of sin and because he's got and it's like
it's. I grew up in youth groups that were very much involved in that toxic purity culture bullshit.
It's like, if you're horny, that's bad.
Well, what happens is that you become alienated from your own sexuality and you begin to view it as an other. And that's what leads into the whole like, oh, Satan's tempting me at every point.
Personifying it as a demon.
Exactly. When you create that kind of dissonance and divide yourself, you create a monstrous shadow self. To use Jungian terms.
Man.
And so when that happens, you begin to grow more and more weary and psychotic and paranoid in relation to that. I've been through that. I experienced it. I got to the point where I was a fucking misogynist.
Damn.
So I know
it's big to admit that.
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, obviously you've grown past that.
And it. There's the old saying, but for the grace of God, there go I.
Cheers.
Any of us who grew up in those youth group settings where that purity culture bullshit was taught.
It's real.
Any of us could have become this fucker.
I used to get close to that incel rhetoric. When I was like a teenager, hot girls have it so easy. They can just be hot and get everything. You know what I mean? Like that type of mindset.
And it's worse when it becomes all the worse when you're the type that's awkward and gets rejected or has issues with self-esteem. All those things compound together, and if you don't grow some self-awareness, and if you don't break through that pattern,
don't do some introspection,
then it's gonna break you, man.
It becomes what we saw.
I was telling Xander before we started, there's that line at the beginning of The Social Network where like she's talking to Mark, and she's like, "You're gonna think girls aren't gonna like you because you're a nerd. People don't like you because you're an asshole." You know what I mean? And that's generally the person that you become in those settings, because it creates that shadow self.
It does. Well, and that's another thing that I love about Buddhism is how much the whole point of meditation, the whole point, especially within Zen circles, Mahayana schools, which is Zen is part of Mahayana, and Zen is what I practice.
That's cool.
Okay.
I know like a little bit about this, so this is very interesting to me.
Yeah, the way that I've always worked is that when I get interested in something, I devour the whole subject.
I'm mostly like that with Pokemon.
Hey, you know what? Pokemon is a perfectly valid religion. But no, it's so much of the work of meditation, and this is what Christ tried to teach as well, but it has been lost in our interpretation, is you have to deal with your own shit, and you have to be able to have compassion for yourself and for others.
That's that whole don't throw the stone unless you've gotten into sin, that whole thing.
And so one of the passages, you being familiar with purity culture bullshit, one of the passages you always hear is, oh, if your right eye causes you to sin, gouge it out. That kind of whole thing.
That's insane.
If your left eye causes you to sin, then better to go to heaven without your left hand.
Well, but here's the thing. That is not supposed to be taken as, oh, well, you remove these external things. It's you work on yourself. This was in relation to people saying that a woman walking down the street was tempting them. In Jesus' time, he was radical in the fact that he approached and accepted sex workers.
And he was saying, if you're tempted, that's a you problem.
That's a you problem, dude.
Exactly, and that's what.
And we're still having to tell people that shit.
Well, and that's the big issue.
And we're having to tell Christians that shit because they don't get their own book.
Well, and that's another reason why it's funny that I feel closer to Christianity. And I feel more accepting of Christianity as a Buddhist than I did growing up in the church.
See, this is a very interesting conversation for me. I had no idea it was going to go this direction, but I'm glad it did.
Oh yeah, same here.
Because I've had a really interesting trip with faith too. I would probably still be a Christian if my mom hadn't made such a big deal about me studying the Bible. And so she signs me up for this like extracurricular Bible study class, like at church on a Wednesday night every week. You know what I mean? And And I'm like,
damn, you got to do like Bible extra credit.
Yeah,
man, I was in fucking Awana.
Right, it's like
you're told you got to memorize all the books of the Bible and you get this many stars.
Yeah. There was that type of
I
thing.
hated that shit.
It was like
dude.
confirmation, and it's like I'm like, I want to skateboard and I want to do like Taekwondo, and she's like, well, you can go to Bible study. Like, what the fuck? Don't do that. And, but so I end up we're doing this Bible study. And the teacher keeps doing this thing where we do a couple chapters, then she's like, and then you really don't need to read the rest of that book.
That shit would bother the fuck out of me.
It bothered me so much that I would go home and read the rest of it. Like, what is in here that it can't be not worth reading if it's in the Bible, right? And a lot of it would be the shit that contradicts the shit we just
exactly.
said.
It's like it's in the Bible.
It would just be like, or it'd just be weird and like hard to explain. And then I'd ask them to explain it the next week at church, and they would. No, we're not talking about that. I haven't planned for that. You know what I mean? And so, wait, have you even read this book? You know?
Yeah.
And so I read the whole NJV or not. The new revised NRV,
NRV. The NRV is actually one of the better translations, from what I understand.
I read that whole one, and I'm like, I don't think I believe in this. I'm like, I think I got some knowledge out of this, but I don't think I believe it's the truth.
Yeah.
And my mom's like, well, you need to read the King James version to understand it. And so I read the whole King James version.
I don't know.
And I'm like, this is even crazier.
The whole thing that took me out of it was like, I got out when I was young. Like, I stopped going to church when I was like 13.
Yeah,
and then started working for a church. I mean, I didn't call that going to church. I was more going to work. But like, it just bothered me because like, it's like they're teaching us all this shit. And like they want us to like, oh, this is serious. This is the word of God and all this stuff. But it's like you ask them an adult question, and they'd still talk to me like I was a fucking kid. Yeah. And I'm like, what? If you're talking to me about an adult book with adults in it, and you're telling me how serious it is, and I ask you an adult question,
and they put kid gloves on.
It's like, dude, fucking give me the stuff.
The impulse to convert children it's a touchy subject for a lot of evangelicals because they believe firmly that they're doing what's right for their kids.
They think they're the good guys. For sure.
And it's there is wisdom to be gained from learning about that kind of stuff at a young age, but it's
good to have morals and stories and legends and stuff like that.
It's great as stories and as good as basic. You can learn some of the same things in the Bible that you learn from Aesop's fables. And to that end, it's great for kids to have exposure.
Paw Patrol, for that matter.
I mean, it's like all I took away was that like
because
you
nothing
can be a good person without like you just like don't be a dick. You know.
But
sorry for interrupting.
You can't expect a child to make an informed choice on something that is so massive in their psychological development and so massive in their sense of self.
Yeah, and that's about. But so after reading the Bible twice and part of that Bible study class too is we would go to other churches sometimes. So I went to we found like the one like black party church.
I was like, you're gonna say black church.
Yeah, because I mean, sorry, I'm doing the thing, but fucking, it was that church though. I couldn't think of the. Oh my god, it was so much. That was
shitty
like
church. That's
no, it was so much more fun. The bass line just killing it.
Black churches are fun.
And just the singing and the clapping and my god. And I'm like, okay, this feels like God to me. And we went to like a synagogue and like a lot more solemn, but it was also kind of like the same kind of vibe and just the same points being told. Be nice, love each other.
That was my feeling when I entered a Hindu temple in college. And that was my jumping off point. I entered this, it was the Mandir in Lawrenceville.
Cool.
The Baps Mandir, which that's a sect of Hinduism that is kind of like evangelical Christianity in a sense. But one of the things that our guide told us.
That's in Lawrenceville?
Yeah. Oh man, there's a ton of cool temples and shit in Lawrenceville.
I picked somebody up from there once, but I had no idea it was in Lawrenceville.
Yeah, it might be Lilburn. It might be Lilburn, but it's that general
Lyft
area.
will put you fucking everywhere.
Oh, it will. I ended up in fucking Oxford, Georgia one time.
Jesus.
Dude.
But anyway, I went to the Mandir, and one of the things our guide stressed was like, do you see all these gods? Because the central dome of the temple led upward and upward, and there was one little just blank light at the top. And he said they are all emanations of the one God.
Yeah.
So in a sense, we are monotheistic like you.
Yeah, right.
And that blew my goddamn mind.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And it was Well, and it's the more you dig into it, all the gods are within you,
and it's
all the gods are representations.
So you're
of
worshiping all
forces.
these gods that are worshiping one person.
and
Well, it's
so-
not even that. It's all those gods are aspects, emanations of a single source.
well, they're all tied together in a sense of oneness, which, if I'm not mistaken, is also a big part of what they teach in Buddhism.
What, to, like, simplify it a
We're all
bit,
part
or-
of the same
Well,
great energy and vibration and all
Buddhism
that.
goes a little bit further in that Buddhism is a non-theistic religion,
Right.
Which isn't an atheistic religion. It's a religion that says any concept or idea of God is too limiting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
If you can conceive of it, then you haven't got it.
we're all part of that same eternalness that is completely out of our heads.
and everything is interdependent on everything else.
Right.
Like a microphone cannot. When you think of a microphone, you're thinking of an idea. You're
Uh-huh.
giving it a label.
And it's made of several small parts.
Yeah,
And
but
Okay.
you know, like-
all right. Now I'm getting what you're saying.
yeah, so it's all
Yeah.
all objects, all consciousness is interdependent, and there is no substantial, eternal, permanent nature to any of it. But
Yeah.
in that non-eternal reality is
so cool.
eternity.
That's what got me into it. This was way after the fact, where I had just gone full like edgelord punk rock Satan guy. But I got my hands on this book called The Dancing Wu Shi Masters.
Have
you
is
heard
that
of
a
that?
Sufi book?
I'm not sure exactly what,
Because
it's been like a decade since
Whirling
I read
dervishes are generally like a branch of Sufism.
it. Okay, well
So-
it's
And that's what they do is they dance.
yeah, it's the Wu or Wu Li, I think is what it was. It's a Chinese word. What's it mean? It means like I'm dancing, but it also means like all these different contradictory terms.
Wait.
And it basically it yeah, I know we're getting into some really weird.
So
abstract
whirling
shit.
dervish is a real thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that's
whirling
okay.
dervishes are a their practice is to spin, and
So
Which
this is
which
like
ties into this quantum physics thing.
Yeah.
That's this book was about how Zen Buddhism
I thought somebody just made that word up.
Zen Buddhism and quantum physics basically teach the same
Yeah.
thing about the universe.
that
And so
that
like
observer
Yeah.
things cannot be observed without the observer, and that like nothing is until there is an observation.
Right.
Watches the
That
Watchmen.
everything is a field of consciousness
Right.
essentially, but that consciousness doesn't have any form of its own, and there is no such thing as form until there is the perception of it.
so this is just like an oversimplification from
Yeah.
my like
Oh, yeah.
college.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's
I
like-
feel
it's
like
and-
somebody's watching this just
it
like...
means, but like basically what it comes down is like Zen Buddhism is the only religion that mankind has come up with that the math has actually proven. Oh yeah, this checks out.
Well, and if you tie everything back to Siddhartha Gautama, Shakyamuni Buddha, which is there are multiple Buddhas. I don't know if you.
Oh,
if-
yeah.
But Shakyamuni is what Zen Buddhists call Siddhartha Gautama, the historical Buddha that we can actually
the round
more-
guy. That
that's-
no, he's not. So, yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's Buddhai.
Yeah.
Buddhai is a monk who is considered a Buddha, but he's more of like a mythic folklore hero.
Yeah, I remember they busted that myth for me in like 7th grade.
Yeah.
They were like, Buddha actually isn't the large round guy.
Well, and it's-
is supposed to, yeah, it's a whole
The thing is, Buddhai actually represents a ton of really beautiful qualities of Buddhism, so he's a great symbol. And when Asian people began immigrating to the U.S. and tried to come up with like ways to present that to Westerners, it's easier to show people a jolly fat guy and be like, look, this is prosperity and wealth and happiness.
Well, yeah.
And it's like, okay, that's the oversimplification.
Like Coca-Cola used Santa Claus.
Yeah, or polar bears.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, Buddhai is not technically the historical Shakyamuni Buddha.
Yeah.
You know, which I actually today there was a shop on the way here that I stopped by, the Open Mind Center. I actually bought a statue of Buddhai, like a little 6-inch
Wait,
thing.
is that the place down the road from
Yeah.
me? Okay, yeah. 'Cause I've driven past that, and I didn't know if like what it was.
Yeah. I actually bought a little Buddhai for my home altar because I've got Shakyamuni Buddha.
Nice.
But recently in my meditation practice, one of the main things that I've focused on is expanding the breath lower into the stomach. And the image that keeps coming up is the laughing fat ass Buddha.
Yeah, because it's all down
Yeah.
here, and it's all just
Yeah,
so,
and it's-
you
Yeah.
know, it's in there.
Well, Roshi Bernie Glassman, before he died, there was one quote from him that I love, that he said that a great Zen practice is to wake up every morning and laugh at yourself. Because in that hearty belly laughter, in that belly laughter, you're essentially rousing energies in yourself, in your psyche, and in your body, because the mind and body are not separate.
That's actually fucking crazy, because like when I the whole like daily affirmations and all that shit. You get in, you say, don't have to say it in the mirror or anything like that. But that's kind of, I could never think of like what to say to myself, so I just like in the morning. I get in the mirror, and this was after I listened to this whole podcast with David Lee Roth, where he's talking about his morning routine, where he'd get up and like shake his face and look in the mirror and go, Bond, James Bond. And so like I'd get up and look in the mirror and just make weird faces until I start laughing, and then after that, then that's the day. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, and that's that's fucking crazy.
It is a great practice. Well, and I can't remember who said the quote, but someone once said that laughter is the most easily recognizable voice of God.
Was it Patch Adams?
I don't know.
That's cute. I like it.
Yeah,
it does sound like a Robin Williams line.
Yeah, but no, like it really is, because in laughter you're losing any sense of like ego mind, of your self identity, of being isolated or separate from the universe. You know, you're losing
it's hard to be too prideful or respectable when you're being funny.
Yeah,
it's
what I was
why
telling
racist
Nelson,
people aren't funny,
right?
Yeah. But anyway, God fucking damn, we've diverged so far from the music. I'm glad we had the conversation.
Yeah, let's just jump into another thing. Okay. So you're married.
Yes.
How long have you been married?
I've been married since 2016.
Okay, nice. How's the wife? How's that?
She's good. Her name is Isabel, and we actually had a date at Avalon, the shopping center over there in Alpharetta today.
Where'd you guys meet?
We met at UNG, and the weird thing is like we became friends because she was a dual enrollment student, and she's crazy smart. Like she's a retail manager and the youngest in the history of her branch of the company.
Oh shit! I must have did the whole dual enrollment thing.
No, but that's what she did. Well, we met in the corral at UNG, and we were friends for a couple of years. And then it was like I broke up with this really toxic, crazy. And I know that sounds like a red flag thing, because I was toxic and crazy too.
Oh yeah,
it's just.
No, we all use
part of growing up.
Yeah, I feel like everybody has that phase where they're like, I like
crazy past
girls.
episodes of this podcast, you'll hear all of my toxic, crazy stories.
Yeah, and she is, to say she is toxic or crazy would be a huge understatement. I've actually checked back in with her since, and she's married, she's got a little daughter. I'm super happy for her. I'm not going to mention names because I don't know if she wants me to mention her. But anyway, I broke up with my ex, and we were, we'd been friends for a long time, and she was one of the people that helped me get through that breakup.
Nice.
We were like, hey, maybe we should get together. And we did. And the rest is history.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Shit just clicks together, man.
It does.
Well, now you got your twins.
So you got two twin boys.
Yep. So that's
let's talk about being a dad.
That seems so forgive me for being judgmental here, but it's like so uncommon these days that like a couple just gets together in college, you're married obviously, and you got kids, and just did the grown-up thing in the 21st century.
because it's like you got me and Xander here, like fucking should have kids, should be doing all that, or just like
so much of it has to do with the fact that we kind of were the only thing each other had in a lot of ways.
I feel that.
Like, gradually just exterior circumstances are what really forced us to do adult things.
Yeah, sometimes life makes you grow up. Yeah. I mean, the only reason we're doing this is because life got so fucking insane that, like...
I've gone through 2 of these guys.
Oh, no, I almost have 2. Xander, you grab a couple more?
Can we take a break?
Yeah, we can do that. We'll be right back with more Daniel and me, Nelson, and Xander. We'll be right back. In the meantime, watch this promotional commercial material for Working Class Music.
We are Working Class Music, and we love Jazz Masters. Just a couple of updates. Thank you for subscribing to not only our YouTube channel, but our Patreon as well. We definitely appreciate it, and we want to thank you for for that. So, just to let you guys know, we do a little giveaways every now and then. So, today, we're not quite reviewing something. We're actually announcing another giveaway that we're doing. Once we hit 3,000 subs on our YouTube channel, we're giving away this Daphne Blue Jazzmaster. It is a Squire Affinity Mini?
Mini.
Mini!
So it looks like a normal size guitar on me.
Yeah, it's Tia sized. Yeah, so all you got to do is just like, subscribe, and comment. And if you feel generous, join our Patreon.
I guess just let me know when you're ready to start again.
Oh, yeah.
Where were we anyway?
Oh, we were talking about wife.
Yeah, we were talking about how you started your family.
Yeah.
So we were just got to the point where you guys got together and stuff. And
Yeah. After knowing each other for a little bit in college, whatnot. So Teddy and Tommy, basically, we weren't expecting a pregnancy necessarily, but it wasn't like a scary thing.
you were together, and it was a thing. Yeah.
But we, it was hilarious because we walked into the ultrasound appointment. And it was like, oh, there's two of them.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah.
Timmy and Tommy?
Teddy and Tommy.
Teddy, okay.
Yeah.
Because your wife's name is Isabel.
Yeah.
And these are all Animal Crossing.
I know. I was.
Are they?
Yeah, they are.
The little secretary dog is Isabel, and
I do.
Anyway, we're back. We're back, folks.
But,
is that camera going too?
Yeah.
But no,
All right. Are you
we
sure?
had Teddy's
Hit the
name
red
already
button.
picked out.
Yeah,
We had Teddy's name already picked
No,
out.
no.
Theodore
Did you hit the red button?
Graham, Teddy Graham.
Okay.
cool.
Yeah,
Teddy Graham.
yeah, Teddy Graham.
I like it.
Yeah. So it was cute, and we already had that one picked out, and then it was like, oh, there's two of them. I guess we should probably
Yeah,
name-
that's
we should
gotta be
probably
crazy.
have a good name for the other one.
That's cool.
You think
And-
you got one, but you're getting twins.
And at the time, one of my favorite philosophers was the Catholic thinker Thomas Aquinas.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, we can go with Thomas.
That's cool.
And then Izzy and I both love Oliver Company, so we were like, hey, middle name can be Oliver.
Nice.
Cute.
Yeah. We're both.
That's a lot of fun.
We're
I love
both
Oliver
Disney
Company
buffs.
too.
I always forget Oliver and Company's Disney. I always think it's gonna like. I always
It's from that weird era. It's
Yeah.
almost too good to be Disney.
like. I always
It
think
is
it's
so
from the
good.
same people who made like
Although that movie
Anastasia.
has probably the most gruesome death of any Disney
Oh
movie.
yeah,
Wait,
dude! At the end, I think the dude like
Sykes.
Yeah,
He's driving on the train track, and you just see, like, he gets this deer in the headlights look,
Oh, yeah,
and then
the-
you watch the car, and then you see the
Fucking-
train come by with fire.
It's fucked.
It's like, oh my god, I just watched a man get run over by a fucking train.
Well,
Yeah.
now, to be fair, Mufasa gets trampled to death, and then
Okay, but they don't show him actually getting like
Scar
skunked.
gets devoured by those hyenas, and you
I
see
mean,
the
yeah.
If
yeah,
you
but-
buy the actual book,
Okay,
like
but-
the animated book of Lion King, it does show him getting actually eaten.
How about Ursula getting stabbed in the stomach by a
that
ship?
one's pretty bad too. But here's the difference though. Ursula is a sea witch. You know, she's
Yeah.
got the whole half octopus thing going on.
When I was a kid, I used to literally turn it off when she turns giant.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I know the rest. I'm scared now.
I think I did the same thing.
Oh my
But
god!
so she's half octopus,
yeah.
and then you've got Mufasa. He's a
Oh
lion.
shit! Restart that one behind you. Sorry, it's just
Yeah. So there's that
So
kind of that
it-
animalistic thing.
well,
You're not thinking about an actual human being
Right,
being murdered.
but with Sykes, it is just a man on a bridge in New York City getting creamed
But he was
by a
also
car.
wasn't he also like a kidnapper though?
He was. Oh, he was an evil son of a
Yeah,
bitch.
he's
Like-
a terrible person.
No, I've never felt any pity for Sykes.
Yeah.
You know,
Hold on. Turn it down a little bit. It's facing over.
but it's such a violent death.
Yeah, I mean that's how I felt watching Home Alone when I was younger.
that was-
I was not a fan of those movies because I was just like,
Okay,
what the
I
fuck?
low-key,
Like,
I
we're
low-key fucking loved Home Alone, though.
It-
I kept wishing that someone would break into my house.
I thought that
Fucking,
kid was
like,
a fucking
beat the shit
psycho. I feel like that movie created a generation of people like my girlfriend's dads who put guns in the fucking spice drawer. And it's like, I can't wait till somebody breaks into my house.
Oh, man.
Fucking come up through my basement. All right, I got syrup on the stairs.
my little sister's ex-husband was that guy.
Look,
Oh,
syrup on the
God.
stairs is profoundly different from a gun in the spice rack.
That's a real thing. I shit you not. My girlfriend's dad has a gun in the spice drawer.
I was there visiting when they first had my niece when she was like a tiny baby, and I'm like just kind of getting to know my sister's husband, and we're like cooking dinner, and she's like, "Oh, can you grab like a pan from the cupboard down there?" And I get down, and there's like fucking like loaded 9, like by the fucking pots and pans. And I'm like, what's the first thing a toddler does when they start exploring the house? They pull things out of this fucking drawer and start banging them together.
He's also got like this loaded old timey revolver on his mantle. Like I picked it up and was like, oh cool, and like cocked it. I was like, oh shit, this is loaded.
Like guns are cool, but don't be that stupid about them, dude. Come on, be real. But
I mean, he is a gun nut.
Just back to the fucking Oliver and Company thing.
Yeah.
Like that was just such like an 80s and 90s thing. Is like violence is always acceptable if it's against a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like up until like that came to like a hard stop at like 9/11. Everyone's like, oh wait, when people die, it sucks. We shouldn't joke about it anymore. But like for so long, it was just like every stand-up comedian would just be like, "Well, I just murdered motherfuckers." Like, just every joke was that. Like, it was just like South Park. Oh my God, they killed Kenny.
Yeah.
It just always comes back, and it just doesn't matter. You know?
My favorite thing in the history of South Park as a series was when they had that whole special where Kenny was.
He like got cancer.
No.
Oh, okay.
That one actually was kind of sad.
And then he actually died for
yeah,
the whole
that
season.
one was pretty sad.
No, my favorite was it was like a mini series within the series. It was the superhero thing. And Kenny,
yeah,
Mysterion.
Mysterion, yeah.
And Kenny actually had the superpower that he couldn't die, and that's how he beat Cthulhu.
Yeah, the Mysterion shit was really good.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like you can't take my South Park opinion seriously because I'm a Tegrity Farms apologist. I like the Tegrity Farms stuff. It's funny. I know it pisses off a lot of people, but it's really fucking funny, dude. Just a bunch of Tegrity weed. It's just everybody's happy. Just have some weed. It's weed with Tegrity. But the thing is, there is no Tegrity to it. He sells out. He gets Towley involved. I'm sorry. Tegrity Farms is great. I'll die on that hill.
That's another one I haven't seen. I'm just way over my head.
Yeah.
I was really surprised to see Towley in the Snyder Cut, though.
Look,
oh my God.
they had to go big for that one.
Like, I knew they were going to mix things up, but damn.
Yeah, that whole post-credit scene where he shows up at Bruce Wayne's house, it's crazy.
Turns out he's actually the main villain. He was pulling the strings on Steppenwolf and Company for the whole thing.
Oh my God, I mean...
It's like the Darth Jar Jar theory. Which...
I wish that was real. I really do.
They should have gone with that. The last Star Wars would have been so much better if they had Jar Jar instead of Palpatine.
Oh my God.
Turns out Misa been dark side all along.
Oh,
okay.
God. Okay, so let's talk about a Great Wide Nothing's Big Wide Future.
Yeah.
What are you guys... You were talking about how you want to possibly put a tour together in the future, which I always get like a weird twinge whenever I see tour announcements anytime now, because they're like either for next year or for later this year, and I'm like, okay, but we all thought this would be over by last November.
Yeah.
So like
that's when we were originally going to try and do it, but you know, shit happened.
Yeah.
So how are you guys thinking about going about this, knowing that nothing is guaranteed?
Well, it's just kind of, we're looking at it as a tentative thing, you know.
Okay.
But we just put out Hymns for Hungry Spirits Volume 1, you know, back in November.
Yeah.
And we've more or less rode the wave of that to whatever extent we realistically can.
Sure.
You know, and we owe a lot of our success with that album to the people that are in the international progressive rock niche.
That's cool.
Which is why I'm never going to like disparage that whole niche entirely. Mm-hmm. But you know, we're at the point where we want to grow beyond that. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to actually make the next volume of Hymns for Hungry Spirits or any other record in the future worthwhile, we need to have more people, you know, that know about it, that are going to listen to it, that will hopefully buy it. You know?
Yeah.
So
to that end.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. I was going to interrupt you. My bad. Sorry.
So to that end, it's kind of like, before we dive into trying to record and release a whole nother album, let's try and, you know, see if we can get back on stage.
Yeah.
And, you know, vaccines are rolling out really well, which
gonna say the 3 of you get vaccinated, you mask up for certain shows.
Oh yeah, no, I
and
mean
it's all good.
I've got my
got the
government
jab.
implant up
Nice.
here.
Hell yeah, I'm ready for it, dude. That's cool.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, Bill Gates hasn't called on me to commit a mass murder yet. So
Yeah, it's fine.
So as far as I'm gonna steal Jason's question here because him and Michael talked about that in their interview.
Okay.
But like, fucking, as far as releasing music during a pandemic without being able to tour and without like being able to get out there and play live shows to
Do a
promote it.
digital album release show.
Yeah, like how,
it was.
talk to me about how you guys went about like kind of rolling out the promotion for that. Not
Well,
being able to go out and stuff.
The thing is, it's with our first album because it was so hardcore in that niche of progressive rock. I'll give the prog community this. It's a very tight-knit network that goes all over the world.
Oh yeah,
Like, I've sold more CDs to people in Norway and Great Britain than I have in the U.S.
I'm more in like the metal community
Yeah.
online and shit, but that is such a common phenomenon.
Yeah.
It's like I
It's-
was on a record with a friend of mine, and most of what's sold is overseas somewhere.
Yeah.
with,
yeah,
like, some
artsy
pretentious-
fartsy guy.
Yeah,
that.
it's for whatever reason it sold really well over
Yeah.
there, and it sold decently well here, but it's because so much of our fan base from the first album was already built online anyway.
And well, that's
which
just the era we're in.
They were
Yeah.
just kind of
And
expecting it.
and it's I say I mostly because I do all the PR stuff.
Yeah.
But I helped build that strictly because I was looking up, okay, here's an internet radio station that specializes in prog rock. Let me friend this DJ. Hey, here's our album.
Yeah, that's how you do it.
here's,
Gotcha.
you know,
Yeah, it's real
and so-
grassroots shit.
Well, and that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
That's-
The days of being the coolest rock band at all your local bars, that hasn't
Yeah.
been a thing for like 30
No.
years.
Oh,
you know what I
yeah.
mean?
It's so thankfully we had at least some outlets that were willing to listen to the record, put it on the radio stations, tell people about it. I've got one guy, Mikel, I think is how you pronounce it in French. I'm not.
Yeah.
He lives up in Canada.
Okay.
And he.
It's either
works-
it's either like Mikael or like Michel, possibly.
There's no A. It's Michel. So I'm thinking Mikel.
Yeah, I think this might be Mikael. Yeah.
But he works with Terra Incognita, which
Cool.
is
Oh.
they're not small time.
they're not small time.
they're
No, I mean
not.
I guess you've heard of them. though.
Yeah, exactly.
It-
When it
it's-
comes big, yeah.
Terra Incognita is a network that is kind of the big deal in Canada as far as progressive rock goes.
Yeah.
They have a festival every year, or at least did.
Yeah.
But I've been talking with Mikel, and he actually asked me to sell him several copies of the CD at wholesale so he could sell it up there and try to spread the
yeah.
word for us. And
Nice.
and he did. And he and I have been in contact a good bit, and I'm hoping, maybe that relationship will lead to maybe us getting to play Terra Incognita when it comes back.
That'd be awesome.
But,
Let's make that happen.
yeah, here's hoping. Here's hoping.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But even if that wasn't the case, I still like the guy a lot. So
Yeah.
it's not like I'm trying to use someone for my own benefit.
It's just it would be cool if that happened down the road. Yeah,
It's,
that,
you know,
yeah. I feel
Well,
it.
it's a mutual benefit,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
We're not using anybody. We're just
Yeah.
networking, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's how good music happens.
Exactly.
It's funny because like, I mean, coming from the music world and getting into like YouTube and stuff, it's crazy how differently those two worlds look at promotion. Because like you saw the whole thing where like I was getting shit for how I'd promote like all their videos and stuff.
Yeah,
They'd be
talking
like,
shit for talking about your product.
yeah, and
You know
like
what I
it was
mean? It's
crazy because like I got
What am I
shit for
supposed to
like
do?
yeah, it's like we'd find places to advertise and I'd post our shit there. Like if you're like, look at this guy, he's posted on all these fucking advertising your video pages, advertising his video, and it's like
this guy opened a restaurant and put a sign with its name on it out front.
like what? And it's like guys, when you make something and you want somebody to see it, you gotta promote.
Yeah.
You know, like that's why it blows my mind
Yeah.
that the idea of shitting on somebody for promoting is a thing some people find funny. Like, it's beyond me, you know. But yeah, that's awesome that you guys have used the internet to kind of keep spreading that.
Yeah, well, and that was what drove our decision to do the virtual album release, which we had a crowd of about 15 people there. That
Where was it again?
it was at Vegas Studio.
Okay, yeah, in Athens.
And we had about 15 people that we screened, we temperature checked at the door. They were wearing masks the whole time, so it was about as safe as you could be given the circumstances.
Yeah.
But we needed to cover the production costs and had no way to do that without getting people.
Yeah, you gotta get some people in.
And so at the end of the day, it was, that was the small crowd we played for, but it was most of the money made was through online ticket sales.
Nice.
And there were some technical issues, a lot of technical issues. Which, oh my God. So basically when we played that show, it was in the middle of the third song, because we played the whole new album. So it was Promised Land.
Yeah.
Which is probably my favorite to play live, by the way, because that one's got a lot of energy to it.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Probably by Promised Land, we ended up having the live stream shit out on us on YouTube.
Oh, dude, oh my God, live stream shenanigans are the worst.
Okay, it gets better.
Especially if you sold tickets for it.
Yeah, right?
I want my money back.
Thankfully, no one asked for their money back.
That's good.
Because
people who are supporting small artists don't tend to be that guy.
Well, and it's what we did was we went back and the guy who worked there at Vegas Studio, he compiled all the clips that we did manage to capture and spliced it together into a cohesive show that we have up on YouTube now.
Beautiful. That's probably what I was watching earlier.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I didn't notice a dropout, so that's cool if you made that happen.
Yeah.
But we put that on YouTube so that everyone could see what they missed out.
Yeah.
And so no one has complained so far. And,
nice.
And everybody that watched, which we had some really cool people watching. We had Michael Bennett, who books Prog Day in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. He was watching. He said that he enjoyed it, which is exciting.
Sounds like you've got the right people's attention.
I mean,
for the crew you're running in. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing is that we don't want to abandon that community.
Sure.
Which even though I have my gripes about the prog community in certain...
I mean, every community has its bad eggs.
Yeah.
I've discussed this with Aaron Clift, who is a prominent prog musician out in Austin, Texas. There are some real fucking dicks and back-minded kind of people in
they
that
can get
niche.
real gatekeepy real quick.
Well, and it's not even just the gatekeeping. There is, because prog is such a white man's genre.
Oh yeah,
You're talking to the thrash metal
all
guy.
that Nordic shit going on.
Me having to come to terms with Nordic black metal and Pantera and all their fucking problematic bullshit. That I made excuses for as a teenager.
Yeah,
there is. You will never find a prog head necessarily openly espousing those kind of ideas, but you get a lot of the white supremacy apologism.
Even Rush has a little bit of that creepy libertarian shit.
Well,
you know what I mean?
And the good thing about that is that Neil Peart later in life, he was like, look, I read one book by Ayn Rand. I was inspired by it. Stop fucking talking about Ayn Rand.
It was the 80s, okay?
Exactly.
It wasn't even the 80s. It was the 70s.
Yeah, there you go.
It was the 70s. I was 18.
Yeeked out of his mind.
I really liked the whole idea of being super art is sacred and that kind of thing. Which, mostly because of Rush, I got into Ayn Rand in high school.
Sure. I mean, I went through a phase, so.
I think you get attracted to ideas that empower you as an individual.
Yeah.
But you have to grow beyond those ideas and embrace something beyond your own ego at some point.
For sure.
And that's where Neil Peart ended up. Mm-hmm. And that's where Rush as a whole
as an adult who pays bills.
I've talked about this a lot too, or just talk about the toxic aspects of the scene. One funny example, I mentioned earlier, the doom metal shit. Probably my favorite band is High on Fire, which was the original guitar player from Sleep. And all the lyrics, I used to think it was a joke, a tongue-in-cheek thing, but he is a full-on David Icke, reptilians from another planet conspiracy theorist. And I thought he just did it because it was good metal lyric content, the reptiles are coming from space. But he is 100% sincere in that belief, and so that means that my favorite guitar guy, I can't sit down and have a conversation.
It's if At the Drive-In believed everything that they said.
Yeah, right.
He'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. I've lost friends who were crust punks in high school who are now Trump guys, and it's how are you an anarchist?
That cracked me up because
it's because they don't believe in the philosophy philosophical ideas of anarchy. They believe in the aggression of fuck everything.
Exactly,
Yeah, it's like you'd see these homeless kids who were like racist and like Trump supporters and like fucking begging for change and have this whole train hopper aesthetic, you know, because being a train hopper is against the system, but they're also like fuck black people, and it's just like I don't even. And that's why the whole like
and it's
like the whole crust punk and folk punk scene, I got out of that.
Most crusties were like super far left until this shit happened, which is it just blows my mind. You're seeing QAnon hippies these days, like that's a thing.
Just making babies, making their own little cuties.
Look, I've already explained this, that, you know, I'm involved in like Zen Twitter and whatnot, but there are dark fringes that want to be included in the Buddhist aesthetic.
Oh God,
the hippie aesthetic, the spiritual thing.
Yeah.
There is a toxic undercurrent involving
those fucking EDM hippies are gross. You guys are gross.
Majority Report just did a whole thing. Somebody just did a book on this about how there's like a certain mentality that of like, I don't necessarily want to call it magical thinking, but like that, because that's not the word that they use, and I'm like, I have to simplify everything in my brain because I'm an idiot. But it's like something about, you know, something about being religious and believing in conspiracies and the self-help and the like crystal spirituality thing.
And that's,
there's like a common thread amongst all of that. They weave together. You know what I mean?
If you have a surface level spirituality, you're very easily influenced.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's something where you like all things, it's balance. If you don't go at a teaching with a fine-tooth comb, with every single blade of reason. Wow, that sounds pretentious.
No, but that's true, though.
That sounds like a libertarian prog rock band lyric.
Yeah, but
blade of reason.
But
swing.
All right, Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, you saw the thing was like he made an EDM EP with Logic and Reason.
But no, anyway, if you don't go over those things and like analyze them endlessly, you know, there comes a point where you have to suspend logic, but you can't abandon it before you get there.
Right, for sure.
Like, Kierkegaard said that there is a point where you have to disregard what you have built up in order to make the full leap to a true religious faith. But you don't abandon the reason that got you there.
For sure.
Well, I mean,
there's a sequence of events.
Makes me think about how like how I go into like watching movies that like I want to be good, but I've heard shit about. You know, it's like you want to leave that shit at the door, but you don't want to, like, you want to, you know, be able to have that suspension of disbelief, but you also don't want to sit there and completely blank your mind, because then you just won't get what's going on.
Well, and it's,
you know,
that's a major reason why in a lot of traditions, you know, whether you're looking at Eastern spiritual traditions or, you know, westernized esoteric magic, you know, magic with a K, that kind of thing. In a lot of those spiritual traditions, you have a system of training. You have a course in a lot of ways, because if you do not go over the simple stuff and have a grasp on reality, when the rug of reality is pulled out from underneath you, you are fucked.
Right, absolutely.
Whereas if you have that guide map and then can say, okay, well, the guide map only goes so far, but I still have it in case I need it, then you have something that you can grasp onto, something that doesn't let you believe just anything.
For sure.
Because there are very simple things that, you know, if you look at like Occam's razor as a logical tenet. All you have to do is apply Occam's razor.
It's the simple solution, not the crazy one.
It's
you know, that's these Q people. There's thousands and thousands of people in the government with this amazing plan that they're pulling off, and no secrets are getting out. And there's no leaks. You can't prove it, and it falls in court. And it's like, but it's still true. Like, damn it!
But people get caught on like fucking text message chains. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no, there's no way.
Well, and it's the fear of being inadequate.
Sure.
You know, you come to a point where it's like, if you are aware of your own insignificance, you can go one of two ways. You can either embrace it and let the ego die, which is a terrifying experience, but a necessary one.
Or people pay a lot of money to get that. A lot of ketamine. But,
it's not ketamine, it's acid, dude. It's psychedelics.
Yeah.
Don't you bring ketamine into this.
I've always heard ketamine is very dissociative when you take too much of it or whatever.
I mean,
too much of anything.
Too much anything.
But
kidding me?
But no, it's you can either lose the ego or you double back on it, and that is where you get sick as hell.
And that's where they get out
Mentally
of control.
sick as hell.
Yeah.
That's where you get people who think God is literally talking to them and that everything that passes through their head is divine and all that.
Yeah. Or demonic.
Or that, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because it places the self at the center of a narrative that gives it importance.
That's, it's a sense of like wanting to feel special and enlightened and all that stuff
Yeah.
too. And I think there's also a like innate need that something somewhere is in control. Like, just you cannot. It's too fucking weird to accept chaos. You know what I mean?
And the more you accept chaos, the happier you will be.
Absolutely, man. It's
Like that fucking band embracing the chaos on stage.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like
They seem like a happy bunch.
I mean, they all haven't aged
At
well.
least in that moment.
I'm still
In
friends
that
with
moment.
most of them.
sure, but it was a fun thing while it was
Yeah,
happening.
it was fun while it was happening, and Swayze's is dead and gone, and
Which is kind of a good thing.
yeah. Oh my god, that was a whole crazy thing when it was going down.
Man, I remember Omnipresent, back when we were still a thing.
Did you ever play there?
Yeah, we played there twice.
Oh,
But we opened for, I think how you pronounce it is Affiance,
Yeah.
Defiance.
Yes. Yeah.
However the fuck you pronounce it. They opened, which they were openers for Miss May I or something.
oh man, Miss May I?
But
Jeez.
no, I remember distinctly. That show was such a nightmare because the lead singer of that band literally was checking text messages and football scores on stage. On stage. He went into a rant about how, I'm not going to feed you that bullshit about if I can just change one life. No, it sucks when you've been on tour and playing for 300 people and then you come to a
he did a
venue
pity
like-
party
Oh
on stage.
no, dude! Swayze's is
Princess.
the worst place to be having a moan like that.
Princess.
Because
Yes.
the thing about Swayze's is like
And-
you can either walk into that room and fucking own it and walk back out, or you walk in and you're like, what the fuck is this? And then you fucking look like a goddamn clown because everybody there knows what it is.
Yeah.
Everybody there knows what's going on.
And it's
it's fucking
and it's like
sad.
it's the thing for me that was most upsetting was that there was like a teenage girl who was there up at the front.
She probably wanted to see that
Dope.
band.
Love
It's like,
that band. Is
And this
there to
guy
see
is
that
so
guy.
far up his own ass that
Well,
he's
and-
just like, oh, this nobody town with nothing. Like,
Let me continue. He had her like sit on the edge of the stage, and during one of the songs, he like manhandled her arms and like was making physical motions, and she was visibly uncomfortable.
oh,
And it's like,
my
dude, this chick is like 13, 14. You should not have physical contact with her at the moment.
No.
Like,
Jeez.
I don't miss live music anymore. I'm done now.
All right, well, think about this then to refresh your memory.
Yeah.
Remember when Creed played that Thanksgiving football game and they had the acrobatics guys while they were lip syncing higher? Don't you miss live music now?
Yeah.
Don't you miss live music now?
If every show
You know
was
what?
Creed playing at the Super Bowl. Yeah.
With wispy bald guys doing acrobatics.
you know what I miss? I remember the first time I saw Rush. It was 2007, Snakes and Arrows tour.
Hell yeah.
It was at Verizon, right up the road here.
Yeah.
And at Verizon, which is now Ameris, I believe, there's like that center aisle on the grass lawn. During a rainstorm, that becomes a mudslide.
Sure.
We nearly got rained out at that show. It was my dad and me, and we were sitting on the lawn, but we had we were on the area of the lawn where there's still grass.
Yeah.
So we were taking shelter, though, from the middle of the rain under the canopy at Ameris, then Verizon.
Sure.
And the show was delayed. There was this guy, once the rain started lightening up, in a sawed-off wife beater,
Hell yeah.
that he stood at the top.
Goals.
He
boy.
stood at the top of the hill of the lawn. He raised up his hands, and the whole crowd that was cowering under the canopy
Right.
erupted in this cheer, and he went and penguin slid down the
Oh
whole thing.
my god.
He did it again at intermission, and that was the most memorable concert experience, I think.
That's pretty dope.
That plus when Rush began,
Yeah.
there were these two like super hardcore looking metal dudes in front of us.
Of course.
When Limelight began, they reached out and hugged each other and started swaying. And it was like, that was so formative for me, and now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was like, Rush is that band.
Yeah.
Rush is the shit, dude.
They really are. Like, you know, it devastated me when Neil Peart died.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah, that was
Huge
rough.
loss, dude.
That was
Huge
rough.
fucking loss.
And not just because of the drumming aspect. Honestly, he's secondary as a drummer for me.
Sure.
It's as a lyricist.
Yeah.
Because those lyrics about...
And that band is
Yeah.
those three guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like there's been no other iteration. So
Yeah.
if one's gone,
And
it's
you
over.
guys are kind of doing a real similar thing. You know, the three of you. I
You
mean,
know, we-
that's when we were setting this up, and I was like, "It's just three of you," and you're like, "Yeah, what?" They're like,
Yeah.
sounds a lot more dense than that.
Yeah.
Well, and that we're coming full circle back to...
"Yeah,
I think we were talking about Hymn for a Hungry Spirit, right?
Yeah.
That track. So it's about Georgia folklore. I wrote it more as like an Opethy kind of like, you know, very
It's my favorite metal band. Good job.
Opeth or Storm Corrosion, like the
Yeah.
lighter side of Opeth or Storm Corrosion, you know, his collab with Steven Wilson, where it's very much a dark, haunting acoustic thing.
yeah,
Dylan heard it and he was like, I want to put strings on that. And so Dylan went in and arranged this whole string section. He wrote out the violin part that
Yeah.
that Susie Reyes, also from Sarah and the Safe Word, she's on that track playing a violin part that he wrote.
That's beautiful.
And he arranged it on keyboards and multi-tracked her, which that's the reason why Dylan is honestly just kind of invaluable
Yeah.
in this band. Like, and that's not to say Jeff isn't invaluable, because he fucking
yeah, no,
is.
you
it's
guys
just
all-
sitting there,
you
just
guys
like,
are-
what the fuck?
It's really interesting because I keep wanting
Sorry.
to be like, well, it's your band, right? But you keep saying no. These other guys put so much
It's-
into it, and that to me is like that's band goals.
Well,
you know what
it
I mean?
is.
Like,
It's-
that's so cool, dude.
You know, I'll take the role as captain of the ship, but the ship doesn't go anywhere without the crew.
You need the helmsman.
And the
You
captain
need the lookout.
Yeah, and the captain doesn't. The captain is not capable of being the helmsman as well as the helmsman.
Can't be the captain and
Yeah.
fire the cannon
No,
at the
that's
same time.
that's the mentality that
And
we
it's
kind of
cool,
treat
man.
things with down here. Like,
Yeah, it's
like Xander's always like, "No, I'm not." I'm just like, "Yeah, you are." And then like Jason will end up doing the same thing to me, where I'll be like, "We're killing it," and I'm like, "Well, use your idea." And you're like, he's like, "Well, you do the stuff and you do this." It's like, we're team. God damn it! Like, we keep having to
good energy.
reiterate. To
It's good when you find people that work well.
Yeah, it's
together.
like
a
everybody's so
beautiful thing.
goddamn
And
humble, but everybody's also keeping everybody in line. Like, no, you're here for a reason.
Putting out
It's
good
good, yeah.
well, it's the thing about those guys too is that there's never any kind of struggle for control or any kind of like, oh well, no, I don't like your ideas as much as mine.
Yeah,
It just so happens that I write most of the shit, but 9 times out of 10, I mean, even when I do write the shit, Dylan comes along and he says, I think that this chord would sound better with a ninth and then up an octave.
Yeah.
You know, like that kind of a thing.
There's a little jazz on it.
Oh, well, that's his
now we're
fucking
cooking
jam.
with jazz.
That's his fucking jam. Like,
Love
if
that.
you listen to the middle section of Stars Apart on this album, which Promised Land might be my favorite to play, but my favorite song on this album in general is Stars Apart. It's a sci-fi breakup story.
Cool.
So it's the idea is that a relationship ends so spectacularly that the girl in the situation, that partner decides, fuck this, I'm leaving Earth for a deep space mission.
So
And-
she straight up Dr. Manhattan's that shit. It was
Yes,
like,
she Dr. Manhattan's that shit.
Okay.
And,
I think there's a Cowboy Bebop episode that goes like that too. But that's
and,
I
so
think, yeah.
the song is written from the perspective of the guy who looks back and is like, oh, I fucked things up and now I'm probably never going to see her again. You're out there somewhere.
yeah. She's a shooting star now.
Yeah. But that whole middle section is, you know, when I brought that in, it was very much a straight like Porcupine Tree worship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
You know, because you've got that chugging guitar. I'm sure there's a guitar in here somewhere, but
There's one. or
There's a
two.
couple.
I don't have to play it. But it's you know, when I wrote it, it was very straightforward. And Dylan came in and was like, you know what? We're not going to build it. I don't want to build it the way that you originally built it in the demo. I want to kick straight in with like a Steely Dan piano part.
Interesting.
And so he threw in these extra little.
It's bold to even compare yourself to Steely Dan, but he can own it. So
That
I
confidence
does.
is wild.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, it's so he threw in these variations, these I'm blanking on the exact word for it, inversions.
Yeah.
Of the chord. He inverted the chord and changed it around, and he started just building up these extra bits and pieces, and he layered in, you know, piano and some strings and shit in the background, and then the icing on the cake was, oh, you want me to do a solo? Okay, I'm gonna write you the biggest, most epic fucking Moog synthesizer solo you've ever heard.
Yeah, I love this.
Yeah,
It's
those synthesizer solos, dude.
Yeah.
Ever since Jump by Van Halen, I've been just whirled and whisked away by fucking just a good fucking, like, ever since I'm like, oh, I'm in. Give me all of that.
And here's the crazy thing with Dylan, is that not only is he a prolific, incredible god tier musician, and
S-tier, up there.
He has perfect pitch, by the way.
Amazing.
Damn.
You can see record and know what it is.
Yes,
Fucking
yeah.
amazing.
Not only that, he and I co-produced the album, and he engineered and mixed everything.
Wow.
The new one.
It's fucking awesome, dude.
Better be careful. It
And-
doesn't
and
end up
on-
the way of Ziggy Stardust.
And on top of that, like, he has such a grasp of analog synthesis, I couldn't even approach.
I'm afraid to crack into that.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Yeah,
like, you
that's
see
wild.
my amp and pedal collection. Like, if
Yeah.
I start getting into synths and all those
Yeah.
wires and mods, and oh my fucking
it's-
god.
Like, the main lead synth that he uses is a Moog Voyager.
Damn.
And so it's
Ooh,
like,
nice.
just on a whim, he can dial in the exact sound he wants by knowing how changing this filter will shape the tone.
Yeah.
You know, how this envelope is going to affect this specific octave.
Yeah.
That's one of those humbling moments when you're growing up and you meet someone who you're just like, this guy's probably a lot smarter than I am.
Oh, yeah.
No, and it's
That's what it was like hanging out with Cascaden. I was like, these guys are geniuses.
Yeah, trying to jam with a band like that.
Oh,
like,
damn
yeah.
it.
John being such a folk cult fan.
Yeah.
Man, dude, it's funny because hanging out with him,
Oh, yeah,
there's
this song is
there's three Johns in that house.
Yeah, yeah.
You've got the Asian John, you've got John Samuel, and you've got John Mark.
Yeah.
And so if you walk in there and you say John, like, either nobody's gonna move or you got three different people that are like, what?
Yeah.
And like, yeah, there's some great guys. But since we're running a bit long, let's find a good place to stick the landing. I want to talk about, just to close out here, just what's coming up in the near future for guys. What can people expect out of your band in the near future?
Well, like we mentioned, you know, we're looking at trying to do a tour. We're going to do some local things too once that's opening up, but at the present moment, you know, it's easy to book local shows kind of last minute.
Yeah.
To book a tour, you have to go way in advance, especially when you're doing it completely DIY, which is what I'm doing.
So you guys aren't going through like an agent or anything. You're just doing it yourself.
No agent would look at us. Seriously.
Oh, come on, you're being modest.
Like,
Prog music
Jeez.
doesn't really sell.
well, and that's
Similar to like heavy metal and shit.
we've-
It's like, because it's niche though, you know what I
well,
mean?
and that's part of why we're trying to kind of, I don't want to say rebrand, but like emphasize the aspect of ourselves as like fans of indie and alternative music.
Yeah.
Because that's a much broader market, and we do fit in that, you know, realistically. Because even though we're a prog band, if you listen even to the 17-minute epic on the last album, even in the middle of that, it's all songs.
Yeah,
It's a bunch of fragmentary songs that are pulled together, as opposed to being this grandiose classical piece. Because that's the way that I kind of operate as a songwriter. Is
you've got your team to kind of reel it in and keep it with you.
yeah, it's. I fully recognize and appreciate the infinite value of a good hook.
Yeah. Oh.
Like,
I mean, Blues Traverse said it best, man. Yeah. The hook brings you back.
yeah, yeah. We're trying to emphasize that as a booking point. So we're more an indie progressive trio than we're a prog rock band.
Yeah. You gotta get your foot in the door with something. I mean,
Yeah.
that's understandable completely.
And it's not inaccurate. And it really does, to me, it reflects what we're trying to do, too, which is we don't want to be pigeonholed into the band that plays a 18-minute Mellotron solo.
Yeah.
You know? If I want to write, which on the next album I have written for, if I want to write like a Cure meets Muse kind of gothy pop track.
Yeah, never limit yourself.
Yeah.
So
and that's the thing about it is prog is a way of doing things at its best.
For sure.
yeah.
You know, if you don't learn how to progress past this insular definition,
And that's kind of a
If
funny
you
thing
don't
about,
prog past the basic prog, you'll never prog.
Well, this is my whole problem with genre as a term. It's like they used to say, well, punk is about expressing yourself and being free. That's why you can only play 3 chords. You know what I mean?
No.
Like fucking.
No,
it's just prog should be always evolving, but it also kind of always sounds like Rush, which is not a bad thing. Because sounded like Rush is cool.
well, and
But you can't limit yourself to that. Either.
even to that, to me, the most progressive band of the last couple decades is Radiohead. They
Sure.
are the most prog band.
Yeah.
They don't put themselves in a corner. That's for
No,
sure.
they don't.
And it's not because they sound like Yes or Genesis. It's because they sound undefiably.
They're Radiohead.
Yeah,
They're
Radiohead.
themselves, yeah.
They don't have a fucking genre.
Yeah, they're not the new anybody. They're the first fucking Radiohead. So where can people find everything that we're talking about? Because I know you were talking about the virtual concert that you guys did, and the new album that's out. Let's drop the knowledge. Let's tell the people where they can find it, man.
It's on Spotify. The full album title is Hymns for Hungry Spirits, Volume 1.
Cool.
Volume 1 because there is Volume 2. And that's,
that? Are you guys working on that?
Yes.
or- okay.
I'm writing the songs at the moment.
It's not like a mystery or history of the world Mel Brooks situation.
I don't even know.
Which means the part 2. The
never
part
did
2 would
part
never
2,
happen.
yeah.
That's
no part.
It's just a
Well,
stupid
it's-
joke for nobody but me later when I'm editing this.
But no, it's Volume 2 is going to be a little bit more eclectic and all over the place.
I like that.
Hell yeah.
I'm excited.
The opening track of the next one is a 7-minute like Coheed thrice kind of thing.
Cool.
I'll play you the demo when we're packing up.
Hell
Sounds
yeah,
good.
that sounds great.
Then the second track is very Radiohead. It's like a sequencer and a drum machine in 5/4.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
With like jazz piano and shit.
That's so fucking cool, man.
And then the third track, at the moment, it's going to be this like funky, almost Stevie Wonder-ish kind of thing.
Hell yeah, dude.
The
Hell
fourth,
yeah, I'm here for all of that.
the fourth track I also have a completed demo of, and that's very much like my worship of The Cure.
Okay.
Ooh, now we're talking.
And it's a post-apocalyptic pop song. This is all part of that conceptual arc of different stories. And
So you guys thinking about dropping part 2 like this year? or
this year is the plan.
Okay.
But the most important thing is that we don't want to release it to the same like 20 people that bought Volume 1.
Yeah.
You don't want to rush it out for
Yeah.
the sake of getting it done.
Yeah.
It's not like there's a
It's-
record label breathing down your neck or anything like that.
You want to get it to a great wide audience.
Yeah.
Yes. A great wide audience for the great wide enough.
Fucking awesome, dude.
But no, and then the last track on that next album is going to be another massive epic that I've been listening to. Tool and Muse and all that kind of stuff is going into it.
Nice. Nice.
But the tour, we're looking at trying to do like a 5-day run. It's we're currently looking at Raleigh, which we've got a couple of local bands that are already like, yeah, let's do it.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
As
Got
long
some
as
friends
things
out
are
in
open.
Raleigh.
As
Yeah.
long as things are open.
Got to be safe about it. Yeah.
But in Raleigh, we've already got some connections laid. We'll go from Raleigh to probably DC, and then from DC to Philly to New York, which
Damn.
we know some guys up in New York named Valence.
I
Pardon
think
me.
I've heard that band.
They're instrumental prog metal, so it might have crossed your.
Yeah, there's a lot of like the stoner and prog communities
Yeah.
overlap. It's
because
the weed smoke weed together thing. You know what I mean?
It's the weed. Let's smoke weed together and talk about mystic philosophy.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Like I fucking love Om so much.
Yeah, it's really the difference is just BPM. It's like,
Well, BPM, and it's more about the space and the atmosphere as opposed to which is also post rock.
for sure.
But anyway, Valence is we've been talking with them about hooking up in New York, and then in Boston would be the last stop.
cool.
Which in Boston there are several really good prog bands.
Yeah, that sounds hella fun, dude.
Sounds like a solid scene up there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, man, thank you for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate having you. I mean, are we still recording?
Yeah.
Okay,
blew
cool.
past
We're
2
2 hours and 16 fucking
dude.
minutes.
This is like a
But,
double episode.
Yeah, I
man.
mean,
That's badass.
it's always fun getting a guest in the studio. We've been shirking the podcast a little bit because of working class music, but we're back.
Yeah.
The podcast is coming back. I know we were creeping up on our 100th episode, and then we just bowed out for a couple of weeks, like but the 100th episode's coming. soon.
Big celebration.
A big celebration. We'll do some stuff. Yeah,
we'll have
strippers, cake. But thank you for coming on the show. If we'd love to have you back. I mean, whenever.
Sure.
We talked to you all day if I didn't have to edit this myself. But I do, so I don't want it to run for 3 hours. But yes, thanks for coming, everybody. Thanks for watching. Take care of your pets.
Take care of each other.
Take care of each other.
That's the chorus and the best we can
exactly. Do. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Do some jumping jacks. Buy some new flip flops. Carpe diem, que sera, sera. You'll see us next time.
Love you guys.
Bye bye.